more commerce is that if you look at the landscape in the SME, majority of you are commerce, are into buying and selling, true or false. So you would have a number of these customers also opening an account with a bank. So invariably, you may have your portfolio, full of commerce businesses than the other sectors. If I take my portfolio, for example, I have about 60 to 70% of my SMEs who are into commerce. They buy and sell, so we support them. But for the manufacturing companies, the sectors that we perceive them as risky, and we don't perceive manufacturing as risky anyway. What we do is that if we notice that possibly considering your business and the line of business and your business activities, there is some level of risk, we collaborate with institutions like the GESAL, development banks, to step in. There is what we call risk sharing instrument. So we leverage on the risk sharing instrument to be able to support the agri sector, because most of the manufacturing sectors today are into agri. Quite a number of the manufacturing businesses are agri businesses. So we do a lot with GESAL. We do a lot with USAID. We do a lot with Rural Development Fund. And then recently, we have also been listed as one of the implementation partners for Development Bank. So some of our manufacturing deals are actually going there. They give us the money, and then we lend to you at a considerably low interest rate. And then on the grants, you see, banks are commercial inclined. The capital outlay to run a bank is not small, it's not easy. So hardly would you get a bank saying that I'm giving money for free. You have to return on every peso you invest in doing business. Now, it is possible for a bank to give grants if they collaborate with certain partners of similar interest and then mission. So ABSA, for example, our partnership with MasterCard Foundation enabled us to give 2 million cedis grants this year. So in May, we gave 10 young entrepreneurs, agri-tech and fintech. We gave them between 100,000 to 250,000 Ghana cedis. And the total amount invested was 2 million. It was possible because we had support. Okay, so that is also feasible if we get more of these partners. And then the young lady indicated that she opened an account and it took 3 weeks. Many factors could contribute to that. I don't know the peculiarity with yours, but sometimes when it comes to SME and account opening, we are heavily regulated, and the KYC, know your customer documentation, sometimes some of them find it a bit stringent. So documentation gaps can create some level of delays. When we ask you for certain specific documents and you cannot produce on time, it could lead to delays. And then also, we depend on the Registrar General's system to validate the authenticity of the registration document. As I speak, that system has been down for the past 2 weeks, on and off. It has been down. So if that system is down and we are not able to validate your registration document, it could lead to some delays. So I do not know exactly what led to the delay of your account opening. And then also, when it comes, you mentioned after 3 months, what next? I'm sure you opened the account to benefit from this impact financing. So after the 3rd month, we would assess your account performance. And based on how you have run the account, we'll be able to determine how much you can qualify. How much, if you can qualify for 50, 100,000, whichever the amount is, we will then take you through the process. And anything below 500,000, I indicated to you that you would get it in 2 days, all other things being equal. And then the capacity, what else are you doing for the young people? I've talked about the grant components. So in partnership with DFIs, we are able to give you grants. But the grant money is not that sizable. We can do it up to a certain level, and not many people would benefit from that. This year, we focused on 10. Next year, we'll do about 10 of them. Besides that, we also provide you with free capacity building, a 3-day solid business educational training program. We have partnership with 5 business development consultants, including Empretech, SEEPS, and 3 others. And we take you on this program, we pay the fees, you pay nothing to benefit from this, because we want to ensure that you have been built to a certain level to be able to manage your business to scale. And then for the youth, I indicated that the impact financing that we recently launched, youth are part of the beneficiaries. So anybody between 18 to 35 years, you are able to access funding at 10% per annum. You are able to access funding up to 500,000 without collateral, up to 1 million Ghana cedis without collateral. And we have supported quite a number of young people besides the capacity building opportunities that we offer them. And then when we organize conferences like this, we invite our youth customers to be part of it so that you can connect and gain some level of access to other businesses where you can share best practice and also connect for business opportunities.
All right. So I'll just comment on first from the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce. I'm sorry, I missed your name. I agree with you. I agree with you that typically banks see project financing or corporate financing, for CAPEX, capital expenditure, as more risky. I'm sure you agree with me too. But the truth is that I'll speak for EcoBank because I'm representing EcoBank. We do fund manufacturing. I'm from the commercial banking department. That includes SMEs, local corporates, schools, even churches. So that is what we would loosely call SME. Even within the SME team, business team, we have a number of customers that we have funded. There are live cases. What you can do, and I like Daniel's point about the examples, check our social media handles here in Ghana and in other countries of they giving testimonials. Don't take it from me. The only thing I'll say is that for us, how we approach our capital expenditure or project funding is this. The customer needs to have a clear outcome. We funded them. They've produced maybe fortified soy meal. For who? That is the question. Who is it going to? Where are they getting their raw materials in order to feed the manufacturing plant? So if you check within the banking industry, you will find that a lot of customers say by the time EcoBank puts money in a project, they themselves, the customer, are happy because they know that it will be viable. So we have in different industries outside of commerce. Indeed, in commercial banking for us, our key focus sectors are agric, renewable energy, education, health. Commerce is, FMCGs is even, not top there because we've been doing that for years. So what I would say is that, yes, we do fund those manufacturing industries, and it's because of our role in Africa, and we know that if we don't fund it, we are not helping. Our vision is to grow the continent. But we will only fund if we know that your raw materials and what you need are clear, and we also know that when you produce, there are people who will buy. We won't put you in debt for nothing. On the second one, Madam, on the Elevate account, women related, I take the feedback in good faith. I remember I said at the beginning that we have a bad habit of thinking for you. So her example shows that much as we've told people what the full value proposition is, there is still work for us to do. So I'll make sure that you get communication on what else we are doing beyond what I've said here, and then also put it out. For the Elevate offering, in putting it together, women-led and women-owned businesses, we talked to a lot of SMEs across Africa. And they told us that, yes, giving us money is important, but we need even more, you giving us the skills so that we can run our businesses for a long time. If you look at the history of women businesses in our country and on the African continent, many times someone does a fantastic business. Our mothers and aunties had it. But as soon as, unfortunately, they grow old, the business is gone. So our role as a bank is not just to give that woman money. we think that the sustainability of the business is more important. So Elevate offers a lot of non-financial training. Non-financial, and it's a journey, not one training session for one day, you know. And then also, I hope everyone had, Daniel, Madam talked about it all being free, but I was sad that you didn't hear. You see, no COT, no charges, all that is part. So those benefits are there. And then our women-led SMEs, they pay less interest than anybody else. They get more on their saving. So it's those preferential differences that we are giving. Okay, those are the comments that I will share. And then finally, on the Impact Africa Skills Hub, I shared some examples of what has come out of the Trade Hub in about 2 months. Some live cases that have already been matched where the customers have already shipped the products. But at the end of the day, being on creating your profile, being on it is free. We as a bank see it as an added value because of who we are and in different countries on the continent. We don't charge you for giving you that platform access. And briefly, new things that we are doing for women and youth. I've talked quite a bit about the women initiative, okay, Elevate side. On the youth side, there are 2 angles. A lot of our youth are starting their own business. So youth entrepreneurs, and then youth on their own, you know, young people. Youth on their own, we have a youth banking team that is very visible and engaging on all our young, the tertiary institutions, the campuses, etc. If you follow our social media, you'll see it there, MX ambassadors and so on. We are even giving free money, dashing them prizes. On the youth entrepreneur side, because of the limitation for banks, okay, Mr. Moderator, permit me to deviate a bit. Banks in the country today are only able to deal with an entrepreneur who is not fully registered under the Bank of Ghana guideline for low KYC accounts. Remember, I think 2 years ago, the central bank said that we can have lower tier accounts for an individual who is running their business. So you're a merchant, but you are not a full SME with the business name. You have your trading receipts, your Ghana card, very minimal things, and then we can deal with you. So what we are doing new for them is giving them the tools to transact digitally, both for payments and for collections. So somebody sells shoes online, their market is Instagram. We give them GHQR, we give them Pay With, which is a Momo-related collection, and then we give them a payment solution, OmniLite, to be able to pay out. Because all this is transacted online, every month, the volume of your transactions, 50% of that is given to you like an overdraft. You don't produce any collateral. We've monitored your online transactions. You know, so those are some of the things. We have the low KYC account opening for youth entrepreneurs like that. And then they grow, become fully registered, and come on stream as main SME accounts. Okay, so yeah, a lot of this is on our channels, on our platforms, social media handles, our websites, so that you see the details of our offering. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much for the brief, the answers. I'm now battling with time constraint, but I will, in view of the time constraint, I will just give room for only 2, and then they will wrap up with their conclusion in attempt to answer. Okay. Yes, please.
My name is Charles Quayne. I'm a consultant. This is not for the bank. This is for the small business. The problem the small business will have in not accessing funds from the financial institution is records. We don't keep records. And if you cannot even keep your records, make sure that your payments goes through the bank and withdraw from the bank. That's single entry. So if you get somebody who have little accounting knowledge, can prepare your trial balance for you. Please, get a notebook, rule the lines. I sold 2 toffee, 5 cedis. to Madam Andrea. I sold chocolate 3 cedis. Write it down. At the end of the day, go put that money tomorrow in the bank. Please, let's keep our records simple and clear. It will help us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay, so
please be brief.
My name is Mayan Kujumila, and I'm the founder of Mila and Mayan Cosmetics. We manufacture and sell hair and body care products with shea butter. I've realized that from all the opportunities and everything coming up, it just focusing on raw materials, as in the shea butter, the shea nuts, the cocoa powder, but it doesn't state the added value of what my business does, as in refining the shea butter and bringing up a product that is for like a finished goods that people can use without making it look like as if like it's just a raw product. So I want to see, ask which aspect of the banking or the benefits and everything that the bank has that we can benefit from.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now I'll give you the floor to just answer and also say your closing remarks. A minute each, so that we can wrap up.
Yes, so your question, it wasn't too clear. You want to see how we can support you as a woman,
value added companies. So it's like
how do we also benefit from the bank? Because most of the time, the bank focuses on the agri, but not the agri.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, but so that is why such education is very important. When I was talking about the agri-financing, I indicated that we finance the entire chain. So right from the raw material stage to the value addition stage to even the transportation stage to the end of it. So the entire, as long as your business is within the agri-value chain, okay, you benefit from this impact finance. Okay, so there is the funding available for that. So concluding, I would like to say that, there's so much perception out there that the banks are not supporting SMEs. The banks are not supporting SMEs. I think so much has changed over the years. But today in Ghana, most of the banks would tell you that we are SME driven. Most of the adverts that you hear, they are SME related adverts. We are all on the market and saying that come and let's support you. Now, you don't get to know what a bank can do for you if you don't inquire. You understand? So back in the days where you don't even want to come to commercial banks like us, you prefer to go to your microfinance and all that. I think that the commercial banks today are now flexible, because so much has been talked about SME financing, and we have been involved, we are part of the ecosystem, we have been involved in the conversation, and definitely we cannot come and sit here, have such conversations, and go back and not look at some of these challenges and profile solutions to that. So we are lending, we are supporting. Come make the inquiries and let's see how we can structure something for your business so that your business can scale.
Okay, thank you. So 1 minute.
Thank you. So yes, we have something for agri-processors, and I'll speak with you afterwards. In conclusion, I would say that if you live here, remember that EcoBank is a strong partner for SMEs who want to expand and take advantage of intra-African trade. We would be remiss if we don't do so because of who we are and where we are. So to emphasize, there are solutions for SMEs who want to do business locally, sub-regionally, in West Africa, across Africa, and beyond. Please talk to us, even online, and we'll be able to assist. Thank you very much. And thanks for the questions and your attention.
Yeah, so on this note, we are happy about how things have evolved so far. I think because of the time constraints, so I would advise that after this session, feel free, they will be around till we close this evening. So feel free to ask any other questions that you want. Then we will also advise that it's important that you contact the various banks. You can also contact the Ghana Enterprise Agency. They also have a lot of facilities for SMEs. And then I'm sure they will be able to help address some of your financial challenges. So on this note, thank you very much for your attention. We've adjourned there.
When you're comfortable in your hair and skin, your true personality shines through. Go to MailerandMarian.com and say goodbye to dull hair and skin. African natural beauty has a name, and it's Mailer and Marian.
Sophie, une artiste indépendante passionnée de dessin, cherche à monétiser son travail en ligne. Elle entend parler de Decimo, une plateforme de financement participatif pour les créateurs de contenu et décide de s'inscrire. Elle crée un compte sur Decimo, en fournissant des informations de base telles que son nom, son adresse email. Sophie a rempli les informations de base de son compte Decimo et a sélectionné la catégorie Art pour son profil. Cependant, elle réalise qu'elle doit fournir une pièce d'identité pour vérifier son identité et devenir un créateur de contenu sur la plateforme. Sophie se met donc en quête de sa carte d'identité et prend une photo claire de celle-ci avec son téléphone portable. Elle la télécharge sur Decimo en suivant les instructions données. Sophie attend maintenant la validation de son compte. Elle est impatiente de commencer à publier son contenu et à interagir avec ses soutiens. Elle sait que la vérification de son identité est importante pour maintenir la sécurité et l'intégrité de la plateforme, et elle est heureuse de contribuer à cet effort. Après quelques heures, Sophie reçoit une notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié et qu'elle peut maintenant commencer à publier du contenu et à accepter des soutiens. Elle est ravie et commence immédiatement à créer des dessins pour les partager avec sa communauté. Elle continue de travailler dur pour développer son contenu et sa relation avec ses soutiens sur la plateforme Decimo. Après avoir reçu la notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié, Sophie commence à créer du contenu. Elle décide de publier des dessins originaux chaque semaine et de les mettre à disposition de ses soutiens. Grâce à son travail acharné et à son engagement envers sa communauté, Sophie attire rapidement de nouveaux soutiens et voit sa base de fans croître. En plus de recevoir un soutien financier régulier, Sophie offre à ses soutiens des récompenses.
Elle envoie des dessins originaux, des messages personnalisés et des vidéos exclusives à ses soutiens les plus fidèles. En conclusion, sa page Decimo est devenue un lieu où ses soutiens peuvent interagir avec elle et obtenir des dessins exclusifs. Sophie a travaillé dur pour créer une relation durable avec ses soutiens et pour les remercier de leur fidélité.
Salut, je suis Stéphane Moafo, ingénieur biomédical et CEO de la structure générale Biotech. Alors, notre équipement ici est une couveuse comme on l'entend, conçue pour les prématurés, ayant déjà les capacités de fonctionner à 3 sources d'énergie. Nous avons le solaire comme dans son nom, la fonctionnalité solaire. Nous avons l'allume-cigare pour le déplacement dans les véhicules et le secteur ici pour permettre qu'on puisse fonctionner toujours en énergie du secteur INEO au Cameroun. Par la suite, notre équipement incorpore une autonomie de 16 heures de temps, ici permettant en sorte que lorsqu'il y a des coupures, l'équipement puisse fonctionner sans toutefois avoir des interruptions.
The consumption of African fashion clothing by Africans is a potential vector for inclusive and sustainable development. As a young entrepreneur from Burkina Faso, I have witnessed a lack of interest in African clothing fashions on the part of those primarily concerned, i.e. the Africans themselves. Yet culture, as a social product, is in fact an object of mass consumption. Getting Africans to consume fashion items produced on the continent using original materials would be a way of creating inclusive wealth. CLO Design aims to solve the problem of cultural identity for young Africans, especially those in the through the art of clothing, by strengthening the productive and technical marketing capacities of players in the artisanal textile sector. We are also reducing unemployment by creating jobs for the next generation, especially uneducated girls from disadvantaged backgrounds. Our company produces and sells traditional, modern, loincloths called Faso Danfani Smart and accessories made from the same material. Our range of accessories includes handbag, ready-to-wear clothing, document holder, notebook, tablecloths and placemats. You can reach us through our various contacts and our social networks. Email address, claudiasebgo@gmail.com.
Hello, my name is Enomiyan Arongeta, founder and CEO of Keys Transportation Service.
Hello, my name is Gail Chuba. I'm Chief Legal Officer of Keys Transportation Service as well as a co-founder. We are based in Cameroon, precisely in Douala, economic capital of Cameroon.
Keys Transportation Service provides safe, reliable and comfortable transportation solutions to schools and extracurricular activities to help busy parents and schools have visibility where the kids are at any given time, and also to cut down on the time the kids spend on the road.
We've been operating for over 3 years. We have approximately more than 100 kids in our portfolio, as well as working with 15 schools to and fro. We do pick up, drop off, morning and afternoon, and we are happy to be part of this program.
Thank you.
When you're comfortable in your hair and skin, your true personality shines through. Go to MillerandMarian.com and say goodbye to dull hair and skin. African natural beauty has a name, and it's Miller and Marian.
Sophie, une artiste indépendante passionnée de dessin, cherche à monétiser son travail en ligne. Elle entend parler de Decimo, une plateforme de financement participatif pour les créateurs de contenu et décide de s'inscrire. Elle crée un compte sur Decimo, en fournissant des informations de base telles que son nom, son adresse email. Sophie a rempli les informations de base de son compte Decimo et a sélectionné la catégorie A pour son profil. Cependant, elle réalise qu'elle doit fournir une pièce d'identité pour vérifier son identité et devenir un créateur de contenu sur la plateforme. Sophie se met donc en quête de sa carte d'identité et prend une photo claire de celle-ci avec son téléphone portable. Elle la télécharge sur Decimo en suivant les instructions données. Sophie attend maintenant la validation de son compte. Elle est impatiente de commencer à publier son contenu et à interagir avec ses soutiens. Elle sait que la vérification de son identité est importante pour maintenir la sécurité et l'intégrité de la plateforme, et elle est heureuse de contribuer à cet effort. Après quelques heures, Sophie reçoit une notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié et qu'elle peut maintenant commencer à publier du contenu et à accepter des soutiens. Elle est ravie et commence immédiatement à créer des dessins pour les partager avec sa communauté. Elle continue de travailler dur pour développer son contenu et sa relation avec ses soutiens sur la plateforme Decimo. Après avoir reçu la notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié, Sophie commence à créer du contenu. Elle décide de publier des dessins originaux chaque semaine et de les mettre à disposition de ses soutiens. Grâce à son travail acharné et à son engagement envers sa communauté, Sophie attire rapidement de nouveaux soutiens et voit sa base de fans croître. En plus de recevoir un soutien financier régulier, Sophie offre à ses soutiens des récompenses.
Elle envoie des dessins originaux, des messages personnalisés et des vidéos exclusives à ses soutiens les plus fidèles. En conclusion, Sa page Décimo est devenue un lieu où ses soutiens peuvent interagir avec elle et obtenir des dessins exclusifs. Sophie a travaillé dur pour créer une relation durable avec ses soutiens et pour les remercier de leur fidélité.
Salut, je suis Stéphane Moifo, ingénieur biomédical et CEO de la structure générale Biotech. Alors, notre équipement ici est une couveuse comme on l'entend, conçue pour les prématurés, ayant déjà les capacités de fonctionner à 3 sources d'énergie. Nous avons le solaire comme dans son nom, la fonctionnalité solaire. Nous avons l'allume-cigare pour le déplacement dans les véhicules et le secteur ici pour permettre qu'on puisse fonctionner toujours en énergie du secteur Eneo au Cameroun. Par la suite, notre équipement incorpore une autonomie de 16 heures de temps, ici permettant en sorte que lorsqu'il y a des coupures, l'équipement puisse fonctionner sans toutefois avoir des interruptions.
The consumption of African fashion clothing by Africans is a potential vector for inclusive and sustainable development. As a young entrepreneur from Burkina Faso, I have witnessed a lack of interest in African clothing fashions on the part of those primarily concerned, i.e. the Africans themselves. Yet culture, as a social product, is in fact an object of mass consumption. Getting Africans to consume fashion items produced on the continent using original materials would be a way of creating inclusive wealth. CLO Design aims to solve the problem of cultural identity for young Africans, especially those in through the art of clothing, by strengthening the productive and technical marketing capacities of players in the artisanal textile sector. We are also reducing unemployment by creating jobs for the next generation, especially uneducated girls from disadvantaged backgrounds. Our company produces and sells traditional, modern, loincloths called Faso Danfani Smart and accessories made from the same material. Our range of accessories includes handbag, ready-to-wear clothing, document holder, notebook, tablecloths and placemats. You can reach us through our various contacts and our social networks. Email address, claudiasebgo@gmail.com.
Hello, my name is Enomiyan Aromita, founder and CEO of Keys Transportation Service.
Hello, my name is Gail Chuba. I'm Chief Legal Officer of Keys Transportation Service as well as a co-founder. We are based in Cameroon, precisely in Douala, economic capital of Cameroon.
Keys Transportation Service provides safe, reliable and comfortable transportation solutions to schools and extracurricular activities to help busy parents and schools have visibility where the kids are at any given time, and also to cut down on the time the kids spend on the road.
We've been operating for over 3 years. We have approximately more than 100 kids in our portfolio, as well as working with 15 schools to and fro. We do pick up, drop off, morning and afternoon, and we are happy to be part of this program.
Thank you.
When you're comfortable in your hair and skin, your true personality shines through. Go to millerandmarian.com and say goodbye to dull hair and skin. African natural beauty has a name, and it's Miller and Marian.
Sophie, une artiste indépendante passionnée de dessin, cherche à monétiser son travail en ligne. Elle entend parler de Décimo, une plateforme de financement participatif pour les créateurs de contenu et décide de s'inscrire. Elle crée un compte sur Décimo, en fournissant des informations de base telles que son nom, son adresse email. Sophie a rempli les informations de base de son compte Décimo et a sélectionné la catégorie Art pour son profil. Cependant, elle réalise qu'elle doit fournir une pièce d'identité pour vérifier son identité et devenir un créateur de contenu sur la plateforme. Sophie se met donc en quête de sa carte d'identité et prend une photo claire de celle-ci avec son téléphone portable. Elle la télécharge sur Décimo en suivant les instructions données. Sophie attend maintenant la validation de son compte. Elle est impatiente de commencer à publier son contenu et à interagir avec ses soutiens. Elle sait que la vérification de son identité est importante pour maintenir la sécurité et l'intégrité de la plateforme, et elle est heureuse de contribuer à cet effort. Après quelques heures, Sophie reçoit une notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié et qu'elle peut maintenant commencer à publier du contenu et à accepter des soutiens. Elle est ravie et commence immédiatement à créer des dessins pour les partager avec sa communauté. Elle continue de travailler dur pour développer son contenu et sa relation avec ses soutiens sur la plateforme Decimo. Après avoir reçu la notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié, Sophie commence à créer du contenu. Elle décide de publier des dessins originaux chaque semaine et de les mettre à disposition de ses soutiens. Grâce à son travail acharné et à son engagement envers sa communauté, Sophie attire rapidement de nouveaux soutiens et voit sa base de fans croître. En plus de recevoir un soutien financier régulier, Sophie offre à ses soutiens des récompenses.
Elle envoie des dessins originaux, des messages personnalisés et des vidéos exclusives à ses soutiens les plus fidèles. En conclusion, sa page Decimo est devenue un lieu où ses soutiens peuvent interagir avec elle et obtenir des dessins exclusifs. Sophie a travaillé dur pour créer une relation durable avec ses soutiens et pour les remercier de leur fidélité.
Salut, je suis Stéphane Moifou, ingénieur biomédical et CEO de la structure générale Biotech. Alors, notre équipement ici est une couveuse comme on l'entend, conçue pour les prématurés, ayant déjà les capacités de fonctionner à 3 sources d'énergie. Nous avons le solaire comme dans son nom, la fonctionnalité solaire. Nous avons l'allume-cigare pour le déplacement dans les véhicules et le secteur ici pour permettre qu'on puisse fonctionner toujours en énergie du secteur INEO au Cameroun. Par la suite, notre équipement incorpore une autonomie de 16 heures de temps, ici permettant en sorte que lorsqu'il y a des coupures, l'équipement puisse fonctionner sans toutefois avoir des interruptions.
The consumption of African fashion clothing by Africans is a potential vector for inclusive and sustainable development. As a young entrepreneur from Burkina Faso, I have witnessed a lack of interest in African clothing fashions on the part of those primarily concerned, i.e. the Africans themselves. Yet culture, as a social product, is in fact an object of mass consumption. Getting Africans to consume fashion items produced on the continent using original materials would be a way of creating inclusive wealth. CLO Design aims to solve the problem of cultural identity for young Africans, especially those through the art of clothing, by strengthening the productive and technical marketing capacities of players in the artisanal textile sector. We are also reducing unemployment by creating jobs for the next generation, especially uneducated girls from disadvantaged backgrounds. Our company produces and sells traditional, modern, loincloths called Faso Danfani Smart and accessories made from the same material. Our range of accessories includes handbag, ready-to-wear clothing, document holder, notebook, tablecloths and placemats. You can reach us through our various contacts and our social networks. Email address, claudiasebgo@gmail.com.
Hello, my name is Enomiyan Arongeta, founder and CEO of Keys Transportation Service.
Hello, my name is Gail Chuba. I'm Chief Legal Officer of Keys Transportation Service as well as a co-founder. We are based in Cameroon, precisely in Douala, economic capital of Cameroon.
Keys Transportation Service provides safe, reliable and comfortable transportation solutions to schools and extracurricular activities to help busy parents and schools have visibility where the kids are at any given time, and also to cut down on the time the kids spend on the road.
We've been operating for over 3 years. We have approximately more than 100 kids in our portfolio, as well as working with 15 schools to and fro. We do pick up, drop off, morning and afternoon, and we are happy to be part of this program.
Thank you.
When you're comfortable in your hair and skin, your true personality shines through. Go to millerandmarian.com and say goodbye to dull hair and skin. African natural beauty has a name, and it's Miller and Marian.
Sophie, une artiste indépendante passionnée de dessin, cherche à monétiser son travail en ligne. Elle entend parler de Decimo, une plateforme de financement participatif pour les créateurs de contenu et décide de s'inscrire. Elle crée un compte sur Decimo, en fournissant des informations de base telles que son nom, son adresse email. Sophie a rempli les informations de base de son compte Decimo et a sélectionné la catégorie A pour son profil. Cependant, elle réalise qu'elle doit fournir une pièce d'identité pour vérifier son identité et devenir un créateur de contenu sur la plateforme. Sophie se met donc en quête de sa carte d'identité et prend une photo claire de celle-ci avec son téléphone portable. Elle la télécharge sur Decimo en suivant les instructions données. Sophie attend maintenant la validation de son compte. Elle est impatiente de commencer à publier son contenu et à interagir avec ses soutiens. Elle sait que la vérification de son identité est importante pour maintenir la sécurité et l'intégrité de la plateforme, et elle est heureuse de contribuer à cet effort. Après quelques heures, Sophie reçoit une notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié et qu'elle peut maintenant commencer à publier du contenu et à accepter des soutiens. Elle est ravie et commence immédiatement à créer des dessins pour les partager avec sa communauté. Elle continue de travailler dur pour développer son contenu et sa relation avec ses soutiens sur la plateforme Decimo. Après avoir reçu la notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié, Sophie commence à créer du contenu. Elle décide de publier des dessins originaux chaque semaine et de les mettre à disposition de ses soutiens. Grâce à son travail acharné et à son engagement envers sa communauté, Sophie attire rapidement de nouveaux soutiens et voit sa base de fans croître. En plus de recevoir un soutien financier régulier, Sophie offre à ses soutiens des récompenses.
Elle envoie des dessins originaux, des messages personnalisés et des vidéos exclusives à ses soutiens les plus fidèles. En conclusion, sa page Decimo est devenue un lieu où ses soutiens peuvent interagir avec elle et obtenir des dessins exclusifs. Sophie a travaillé dur pour créer une relation durable avec ses soutiens et pour les remercier de leur fidélité.
Salut, je suis Stéphane Moifo, ingénieur biomédical et CEO de la structure générale Biotech. Alors, notre équipement ici est une couveuse comme on l'entend, conçue pour les prématurés, ayant déjà les capacités de fonctionner à 3 sources d'énergie. Nous avons le solaire comme dans son nom, la fonctionnalité solaire. Nous avons l'allume-cigare pour le déplacement dans les véhicules et le secteur ici pour permettre qu'on puisse fonctionner toujours en énergie du secteur Eneo au Cameroun. Par la suite, notre équipement incorpore une autonomie de 16 heures de temps, ici permettant en sorte que lorsqu'il y a des coupures, l'équipement puisse fonctionner sans toutefois avoir des interruptions.
The consumption of African fashion clothing by Africans is a potential vector for inclusive and sustainable development. As a young entrepreneur from Burkina Faso, I have witnessed a lack of interest in African clothing fashions on the part of those primarily concerned, i.e. the Africans themselves. Yet culture, as a social product, is in fact an object of mass consumption. Getting Africans to consume fashion items produced on the continent using original materials would be a way of creating inclusive wealth. CLO Design aims to solve the problem of cultural identity for young Africans, especially those in through the art of clothing, by strengthening the productive and technical marketing capacities of players in the artisanal textile sector. We are also reducing unemployment by creating jobs for the next generation, especially uneducated girls from disadvantaged backgrounds. Our company produces and sells traditional, modern, loincloths called Faso Danfani Smart and accessories made from the same material. Our range of accessories includes handbag, ready-to-wear clothing, document holder, notebook, tablecloths and placemats. You can reach us through our various contacts and our social networks. Email address, claudiasebgo@gmail.com.
Hello, my name is Enomiyang Aromita, founder and CEO of Keys Transportation Service.
Hello, my name is Gail Chuba. I'm Chief Legal Officer of Keys Transportation Service as well as a co-founder. We are based in Cameroon, precisely in Douala, economic capital of Cameroon.
Keys Transportation Service provides safe, reliable and comfortable transportation solutions to schools and extracurricular activities to help busy parents and schools have visibility where the kids are at any given time, and also to cut down on the time the kids spend on the road.
We've been operating for over 3 years. We have approximately more than 100 kids in our portfolio, as well as working with 15 schools to and fro. We do pick up, drop off, morning and afternoon. And we are happy to be part of this program.
Thank you.
When you're comfortable in your hair and skin, your true personality shines through. Go to MailerandMarian.com and say goodbye to Door Hair and Skin. African natural beauty has a name, and it's Mailer and Marian.
Sophie, une artiste indépendante passionnée de dessin, cherche à monétiser son travail en ligne. Elle entend parler de Decimo, une plateforme de financement participatif pour les créateurs de contenu et décide de s'inscrire. Elle crée un compte sur Decimo, en fournissant des informations de base telles que son nom, son adresse email. Sophie a rempli les informations de base de son compte Decimo et a sélectionné la catégorie Art pour son profil. Cependant, elle réalise qu'elle doit fournir une pièce d'identité pour vérifier son identité et devenir un créateur de contenu sur la plateforme. Sophie se met donc en quête de sa carte d'identité et prend une photo claire de celle-ci avec son téléphone portable. Elle la télécharge sur Decimo en suivant les instructions données. Sophie attend maintenant la validation de son compte. Elle est impatiente de commencer à publier son contenu et à interagir avec ses soutiens. Elle sait que la vérification de son identité est importante pour maintenir la sécurité et l'intégrité de la plateforme, et elle est heureuse de contribuer à cet effort. Après quelques heures, Sophie reçoit une notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié et qu'elle peut maintenant commencer à publier du contenu et à accepter des soutiens. Elle est ravie et commence immédiatement à créer des dessins pour les partager avec sa communauté. Elle continue de travailler dur pour développer son contenu et sa relation avec ses soutiens sur la plateforme Decimo. Après avoir reçu la notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié, Sophie commence à créer du contenu. Elle décide de publier des dessins originaux chaque semaine et de les mettre à disposition de ses soutiens. Grâce à son travail acharné et à son engagement envers sa communauté, Sophie attire rapidement de nouveaux soutiens et voit sa base de fans croître. En plus de recevoir un soutien financier régulier, Sophie offre à ses soutiens des récompenses.
Elle envoie des dessins originaux, des messages personnalisés et des vidéos exclusives à ses soutiens les plus fidèles. En conclusion, sa page Decimo est devenue un lieu où ses soutiens peuvent interagir avec elle et obtenir des dessins exclusifs. Sophie a travaillé dur pour créer une relation durable avec ses soutiens et pour les remercier de leur fidélité.
Salut, je suis Stéphane Moifou, ingénieur biomédical et CEO de la structure générale Biotech. Alors, notre équipement ici est une couveuse comme on l'entend, conçue pour les prématurés, ayant déjà les capacités de fonctionner à 3 sources d'énergie. Nous avons le solaire comme dans son nom, la fonctionnalité solaire. Nous avons l'allume-cigare pour le déplacement dans les véhicules et le secteur ici pour permettre qu'on puisse fonctionner toujours en énergie du secteur Eneo au Cameroun. Par la suite, notre équipement incorpore une autonomie de 16 heures de temps, ici permettant en sorte que lorsqu'il y a des coupures, l'équipement puisse fonctionner sans toutefois avoir des interruptions.
The consumption of African fashion clothing by Africans is a potential vector for inclusive and sustainable development. As a young entrepreneur from Burkina Faso, I have witnessed a lack of interest in African clothing fashions on the part of those primarily concerned, i.e. the Africans themselves. Yet culture, as a social product, is in fact an object of mass consumption. Getting Africans to consume fashion items produced on the continent using original materials would be a way of creating inclusive wealth. CLO Design aims to solve the problem of cultural identity for young Africans, especially those in the through the art of clothing, by strengthening the productive and technical marketing capacities of players in the artisanal textile sector. We are also reducing unemployment by creating jobs for the next generation, especially uneducated girls from disadvantaged backgrounds. Our company produces and sells traditional, modern, loincloths called Faso Danfani Smart and accessories made from the same material. Our range of accessories includes handbag, ready-to-wear clothing, document holder, notebook, tablecloths and placemats. You can reach us through our various contacts and our social networks. Email address, claudiasebgo@gmail.com.
Hello, my name is Enomiyan Arongeta, founder and CEO of Keys Transportation Service.
Hello, my name is Gail Chuba. I'm Chief Legal Officer of Keys Transportation Service as well as a co-founder. We are based in Cameroon, precisely in Douala, economic capital of Cameroon.
Keys Transportation Service provides safe, reliable and comfortable transportation solutions to schools and extracurricular activities to help busy parents and schools have visibility where the kids are at any given time, and also to cut down on the time the kids spend on the road.
We've been operating for over 3 years. We have approximately more than 100 kids in our portfolio, as well as working with 15 schools to and fro. We do pick up, drop off, morning and afternoon, and we are happy to be part of this program.
Thank you.
When you're comfortable in your hair and skin, your true personality shines through. Go to MillaandMarian.com and say goodbye to Door Hair and Skin. African natural beauty has a name, and it's Milla and Marian.
Sophie, une artiste indépendante passionnée de dessin, cherche à monétiser son travail en ligne. Elle entend parler de Decimo, une plateforme de financement participatif pour les créateurs de contenu et décide de s'inscrire. Elle crée un compte sur Decimo, en fournissant des informations de base telles que son nom, son adresse email. Sophie a rempli les informations de base de son compte Decimo et a sélectionné la catégorie A pour son profil. Cependant, elle réalise qu'elle doit fournir une pièce d'identité pour vérifier son identité et devenir un créateur de contenu sur la plateforme. Sophie se met donc en quête de sa carte d'identité et prend une photo claire de celle-ci avec son téléphone portable. Elle la télécharge sur Decimo en suivant les instructions données. Sophie attend maintenant la validation de son compte. Elle est impatiente de commencer à publier son contenu et à interagir avec ses soutiens. Elle sait que la vérification de son identité est importante pour maintenir la sécurité et l'intégrité de la plateforme, et elle est heureuse de contribuer à cet effort. Après quelques heures, Sophie reçoit une notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié et qu'elle peut maintenant commencer à publier du contenu et à accepter des soutiens. Elle est ravie et commence immédiatement à créer des dessins pour les partager avec sa communauté. Elle continue de travailler dur pour développer son contenu et sa relation avec ses soutiens sur la plateforme Decimo. Après avoir reçu la notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié, Sophie commence à créer du contenu. Elle décide de publier des dessins originaux chaque semaine et de les mettre à disposition de ses soutiens. Grâce à son travail acharné et à son engagement envers sa communauté, Sophie attire rapidement de nouveaux soutiens et voit sa base de fans croître. En plus de recevoir un soutien financier régulier, Sophie offre à ses soutiens des récompenses.
Elle envoie des dessins originaux, des messages personnalisés et des vidéos exclusives à ses soutiens les plus fidèles. En conclusion, sa page Decimo est devenue un lieu où ses soutiens peuvent interagir avec elle et obtenir des dessins exclusifs. Sophie a travaillé dur pour créer une relation durable avec ses soutiens et pour les remercier de leur fidélité.
Salut, je suis Stéphane Moifou, ingénieur biomédical et CEO de la structure générale Biotech. Alors, notre équipement ici est une couveuse comme on l'entend, conçue pour les prématurés, ayant déjà les capacités de fonctionner à 3 sources d'énergie. Nous avons le solaire comme dans son nom, la fonctionnalité solaire. Nous avons l'allume-cigare pour le déplacement dans les véhicules et le secteur ici pour permettre qu'on puisse fonctionner toujours en énergie du secteur Eneo au Cameroun. Par la suite, notre équipement incorpore une autonomie de 16 heures de temps, ici permettant en sorte que lorsqu'il y a des coupures, l'équipement puisse fonctionner sans toutefois avoir des interruptions.
The consumption of African fashion clothing by Africans is a potential vector for inclusive and sustainable development. As a young entrepreneur from Burkina Faso, I have witnessed a lack of interest in African clothing fashions on the part of those primarily concerned, i.e. the Africans themselves. Yet culture, as a social product, is in fact an object of mass consumption. Getting Africans to consume fashion items produced on the continent using original materials would be a way of creating inclusive wealth. CLO Design aims to solve the problem of cultural identity for young Africans, especially those in through the art of clothing, by strengthening the productive and technical marketing capacities of players in the artisanal textile sector. We are also reducing unemployment by creating jobs for the next generation, especially uneducated girls from disadvantaged backgrounds. Our company produces and sells traditional, modern, loincloths called Faso Danfani Smart and accessories made from the same material. Our range of accessories includes handbag, ready-to-wear clothing, document holder, notebook, tablecloths and placemats. You can reach us through our various contacts and our social networks. Email address, claudiasebgo@gmail.com.
Hello, my name is Enomiyan Aronita, founder and CEO of Keys Transportation Service.
Hello, my name is Gail Chuba. I'm Chief Legal Officer of Keys Transportation Service as well as a co-founder. We are based in Cameroon, precisely in Douala, economic capital of Cameroon.
Keys Transportation Service provides safe, reliable and comfortable transportation solutions to schools and extracurricular activities to help busy parents and schools have visibility where the kids are at any given time, and also to cut down on the time the kids spend on the road.
We've been operating for over 3 years. We have approximately more than 100 kids in our portfolio, as well as working with 15 schools to and fro. We do pick up, drop off, morning and afternoon, and we are happy to be part of this program.
Thank you.
When you're comfortable in your hair and skin, your true personality shines through. Go to millerandmarian.com and say goodbye to dull hair and skin. African natural beauty has a name, and it's Miller and Marian.
Sophie, une artiste indépendante passionnée de dessin, cherche à monétiser son travail en ligne. Elle entend parler de Decimo, une plateforme de financement participatif pour les créateurs de contenu et décide de s'inscrire. Elle crée un compte sur Decimo, en fournissant des informations de base telles que son nom, son adresse email. Sophie a rempli les informations de base de son compte Decimo et a sélectionné la catégorie Art pour son profil. Cependant, elle réalise qu'elle doit fournir une pièce d'identité pour vérifier son identité et devenir un créateur de contenu sur la plateforme. Sophie se met donc en quête de sa carte d'identité et prend une photo claire de celle-ci avec son téléphone portable. Elle la télécharge sur Decimo en suivant les instructions données. Sophie attend maintenant la validation de son compte. Elle est impatiente de commencer à publier son contenu et à interagir avec ses soutiens. Elle sait que la vérification de son identité est importante pour maintenir la sécurité et l'intégrité de la plateforme, et elle est heureuse de contribuer à cet effort. Après quelques heures, Sophie reçoit une notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié et qu'elle peut maintenant commencer à publier du contenu et à accepter des soutiens. Elle est ravie et commence immédiatement à créer des dessins pour les partager avec sa communauté. Elle continue de travailler dur pour développer son contenu et sa relation avec ses soutiens sur la plateforme Decimo. Après avoir reçu la notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié, Sophie commence à créer du contenu. Elle décide de publier des dessins originaux chaque semaine et de les mettre à disposition de ses soutiens. Grâce à son travail acharné et à son engagement envers sa communauté, Sophie attire rapidement de nouveaux soutiens et voit sa base de fans croître. En plus de recevoir un soutien financier régulier, Sophie offre à ses soutiens des récompenses.
Elle envoie des dessins originaux, des messages personnalisés et des vidéos exclusives à ses soutiens les plus fidèles. En conclusion, sa page Decimo est devenue un lieu où ses soutiens peuvent interagir avec elle et obtenir des dessins exclusifs. Sophie a travaillé dur pour créer une relation durable avec ses soutiens et pour les remercier de leur fidélité.
Salut, je suis Stéphane Moifo, ingénieur biomédical et CEO de la structure générale Biotech. Alors, notre équipement ici est une couveuse comme on l'entend, conçue pour les prématurés, ayant déjà les capacités de fonctionner à 3 sources d'énergie. Nous avons le solaire comme dans son nom, la fonctionnalité solaire Nous avons l'allume-cigare pour le déplacement dans les véhicules et le secteur ici pour permettre qu'on l'on puisse fonctionner toujours en énergie du secteur INEO au Cameroun. Par la suite, notre équipement incorpore une autonomie de 16 heures de temps, ici permettant en sorte que lorsqu'il y a des coupures, l'équipement puisse fonctionner sans toutefois avoir des interruptions.
The consumption of African fashion clothing by Africans is a potential vector for inclusive and sustainable development. As a young entrepreneur from Burkina Faso, I have witnessed a lack of interest in African clothing fashions on the part of those primarily concerned, i.e. the Africans themselves. Yet culture, as a social product, is in fact an object of mass consumption. Getting Africans to consume fashion items produced on the continent using original materials would be a way of creating inclusive wealth. CLO Design aims to solve the problem of cultural identity for young Africans, especially those in the through the art of clothing, by strengthening the productive and technical marketing capacities of players in the artisanal textile sector. We are also reducing unemployment by creating jobs for the next generation, especially uneducated girls from disadvantaged backgrounds. Our company produces and sells traditional, modern, loincloths called Faso Danfani Smart and accessories made from the same material. Our range of accessories includes handbag, ready-to-wear clothing, document holder, notebook, tablecloths and placemats. You can reach us through our various contacts and our social networks. Email address, claudiasebgo@gmail.com.
Hello, my name is Enomiyan Arongeta, founder and CEO of Keys Transportation Service.
Hello, my name is Gail Chuba. I'm Chief Legal Officer of Keys Transportation Service as well as a co-founder. We are based in Cameroon, precisely in Douala, economic capital of Cameroon.
Keys Transportation Service provides safe, reliable and comfortable transportation solutions to schools and extracurricular activities to help busy parents and schools have visibility where the kids are at any given time, and also to cut down on the time the kids spend on the road.
We've been operating for over 3 years. We have approximately more than 100 kids in our portfolio, as well as working with 15 schools to and fro. We do pick up, drop off, morning and afternoon, and we are happy to be part of this program.
Thank you.
When you're comfortable in your hair and skin, your true personality shines through. Go to MailerandMarian.com and say goodbye to Door Hair and Skin. African natural beauty has a name, and it's Mailer and Marian.
Sophie, une artiste indépendante passionnée de dessin, cherche à monétiser son travail en ligne. Elle entend parler de Decimo, une plateforme de financement participatif pour les créateurs de contenu et décide de s'inscrire. Elle crée un compte sur Decimo, en fournissant des informations de base telles que son nom, son adresse email. Sophie a rempli les informations de base de son compte Decimo et a sélectionné la catégorie A pour son profil. Cependant, elle réalise qu'elle doit fournir une pièce d'identité pour vérifier son identité et devenir un créateur de contenu sur la plateforme. Sophie se met donc en quête de sa carte d'identité et prend une photo claire de celle-ci avec son téléphone portable. Elle la télécharge sur Decimo en suivant les instructions données. Sophie attend maintenant la validation de son compte. Elle est impatiente de commencer à publier son contenu et à interagir avec ses soutiens. Elle sait que la vérification de son identité est importante pour maintenir la sécurité et l'intégrité de la plateforme, et elle est heureuse de contribuer à cet effort. Après quelques heures, Sophie reçoit une notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié et qu'elle peut maintenant commencer à publier du contenu et à accepter des soutiens. Elle est ravie et commence immédiatement à créer des dessins pour les partager avec sa communauté. Elle continue de travailler dur pour développer son contenu et sa relation avec ses soutiens sur la plateforme Decimo. Après avoir reçu la notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié, Sophie commence à créer du contenu. Elle décide de publier des dessins originaux chaque semaine et de les mettre à disposition de ses soutiens. Grâce à son travail acharné et à son engagement envers sa communauté, Sophie attire rapidement de nouveaux soutiens et voit sa base de fans croître. En plus de recevoir un soutien financier régulier, Sophie offre à ses soutiens des récompenses.
Elle envoie des dessins originaux, des messages personnalisés et des vidéos exclusives à ses soutiens les plus fidèles. En conclusion, sa page Décimo est devenue un lieu où ses soutiens peuvent interagir avec elle et obtenir des dessins exclusifs. Sophie a travaillé dur pour créer une relation durable avec ses soutiens et pour les remercier de leur fidélité.
Salut, je suis Stéphane Moifou, ingénieur biomédical et CEO de la structure générale Biotech. Alors, notre équipement ici est une couveuse comme on l'entend, conçue pour les prématurés, ayant déjà les capacités de fonctionner à 3 sources d'énergie. Nous avons le solaire comme dans son nom, la fonctionnalité solaire. Nous avons l'allume-cigare pour le déplacement dans les véhicules et le secteur ici pour permettre qu'on puisse fonctionner toujours en énergie du secteur INEO au Cameroun. Par la suite, notre équipement incorpore une autonomie de 16 heures de temps, ici permettant en sorte que lorsqu'il y a des coupures, l'équipement puisse fonctionner sans toutefois avoir des interruptions.
The consumption of African fashion clothing by Africans is a potential vector for inclusive and sustainable development. As a young entrepreneur from Burkina Faso, I have witnessed a lack of interest in African clothing fashions on the part of those primarily concerned, i.e. the Africans themselves. Yet culture, as a social product, is in fact an object of mass consumption. Getting Africans to consume fashion items produced on the continent using original materials would be a way of creating inclusive wealth. CLO Design aims to solve the problem of cultural identity for young Africans, especially those in the through the art of clothing, by strengthening the productive and technical marketing capacities of players in the artisanal textile sector. We are also reducing unemployment by creating jobs for the next generation, especially uneducated girls from disadvantaged backgrounds. Our company produces and sells traditional, modern, loincloths called Faso Danfani Smart and accessories made from the same material. Our range of accessories includes handbag, ready-to-wear clothing, document holder, notebook, tablecloths and placemats. You can reach us through our various contacts and our social networks. Email address, claudiasebgo@gmail.com.
Hello, my name is Enomiyang Aromita, founder and CEO of Keys Transportation Service.
Hello, my name is Gail Chuba. I'm Chief Legal Officer of Keys Transportation Service as well as a co-founder. We are based in Cameroon, precisely in Douala, economic capital of Cameroon.
Keys Transportation Service provides safe, reliable and comfortable transportation solutions to schools and extracurricular activities to help busy parents and schools have visibility where the kids are at any given time, and also to cut down on the time the kids spend on the road.
We've been operating for over 3 years. We have approximately more than 100 kids in our portfolio, as well as working with 15 schools to and fro. We do pick up, drop off, morning and afternoon, and we are happy to be part of this program.
Thank you.
When you're comfortable in your hair and skin, your true personality shines through. Go to MailerandMarian.com and say goodbye to dull hair and skin. African natural beauty has a name, and it's Mailer and Marian.
Sophie, une artiste indépendante passionnée de dessin, cherche à monétiser son travail en ligne. Elle entend parler de Décimo, une plateforme de financement participatif pour les créateurs de contenu et décide de s'inscrire. Elle crée un compte sur Décimo, en fournissant des informations de base telles que son nom, son adresse email. Sophie a rempli les informations de base de son compte Décimo et a sélectionné la catégorie Art pour son profil. Cependant, elle réalise qu'elle doit fournir une pièce d'identité pour vérifier son identité et devenir un créateur de contenu sur la plateforme. Sophie se met donc en quête de sa carte d'identité et prend une photo claire de celle-ci avec son téléphone portable. Elle la télécharge sur Décimo en suivant les instructions données. Sophie attend maintenant la validation de son compte. Elle est impatiente de commencer à publier son contenu et à interagir avec ses soutiens.
When you're comfortable in your hair and skin, your true personality shines through. Go to MailerandMarian.com and say goodbye to dull hair and skin. African natural beauty has a name, and it's Mailer and Marian.
Sophie, une artiste indépendante passionnée de dessin, cherche à monétiser son travail en ligne. Elle entend parler de Decimo, une plateforme de financement participatif pour les créateurs de contenu et décide de s'inscrire. Elle crée un compte sur Decimo, en fournissant des informations de base telles que son nom, son adresse email. Sophie a rempli les informations de base de son compte Decimo et a sélectionné la catégorie Art pour son profil. Cependant, elle réalise qu'elle doit fournir une pièce d'identité pour vérifier son identité et devenir un créateur de contenu sur la plateforme. Sophie se met donc en quête de sa carte d'identité et prend une photo claire de celle-ci avec son téléphone portable. Elle la télécharge sur Decimo en suivant les instructions données. Sophie attend maintenant la validation de son compte. Elle est impatiente de commencer à publier son contenu et à interagir avec ses soutiens. Elle sait que la vérification de son identité est importante pour maintenir la sécurité et l'intégrité de la plateforme, et elle est heureuse de contribuer à cet effort. Après quelques heures, Sophie reçoit une notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié et qu'elle peut maintenant commencer à publier du contenu et à accepter des soutiens. Elle est ravie et commence immédiatement à créer des dessins pour les partager avec sa communauté. Elle continue de travailler dur pour développer son contenu et sa relation avec ses soutiens sur la plateforme Decimo. Après avoir reçu la notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié, Sophie commence à créer du contenu. Elle décide de publier des dessins originaux chaque semaine et de les mettre à disposition de ses soutiens. Grâce à son travail acharné et à son engagement envers sa communauté, Sophie attire rapidement de nouveaux soutiens et voit sa base de fans croître. En plus de recevoir un soutien financier régulier, Sophie offre à ses soutiens des récompenses.
Elle envoie des dessins originaux, des messages personnalisés et des vidéos exclusives à ses soutiens les plus fidèles. En conclusion, sa page Decimo est devenue un lieu où ses soutiens peuvent interagir avec elle et obtenir des dessins exclusifs. Sophie a travaillé dur pour créer une relation durable avec ses soutiens et pour les remercier de leur fidélité.
Salut, je suis Stéphane Moifo, ingénieur biomédical et CEO de la structure générale Biotech. Alors, notre équipement ici est une couveuse comme on l'entend, conçue pour les prématurés, ayant déjà les capacités de fonctionner à 3 sources d'énergie. Nous avons le solaire comme dans son nom, la fonctionnalité solaire. Nous avons l'allume-cigare pour le déplacement dans les véhicules et le secteur ici pour permettre qu'on puisse fonctionner toujours en énergie du secteur INEO au Cameroun. Par la suite, notre équipement incorpore une autonomie de 16 heures de temps, ici permettant en sorte que lorsqu'il y a des coupures, l'équipement puisse fonctionner sans toutefois avoir des interruptions.
The consumption of African fashion clothing by Africans is a potential vector for inclusive and sustainable development. As a young entrepreneur from Burkina Faso, I have witnessed a lack of interest in African clothing fashions on the part of those primarily concerned, i.e. the Africans themselves. Yet culture, as a social product, is in fact an object of mass consumption. Getting Africans to consume fashion items produced on the continent using original materials would be a way of creating inclusive wealth. CLO Design aims to solve the problem of cultural identity for young Africans, especially those through the art of clothing, by strengthening the productive and technical marketing capacities of players in the artisanal textile sector. We are also reducing unemployment by creating jobs for the next generation, especially uneducated girls from disadvantaged backgrounds. Our company produces and sells traditional, modern, loincloths called Faso Danfani Smart and accessories made from the same material. Our range of accessories includes handbag, ready-to-wear clothing, document holder, notebook, tablecloths and placemats. You can reach us through our various contacts and our social networks. Email address, claudiasebgo@gmail.com.
Hello, my name is Enomiyan Arometa, founder and CEO of KISS Transportation Service.
Hello, my name is Gail Chuba. I'm Chief Legal Officer of KISS Transportation Service as well as a co-founder. We are based in Cameroon, precisely in Douala, economic capital of Cameroon.
KISS Transportation Service provides safe, reliable and comfortable transportation solutions to schools and extracurricular activities to help busy parents and schools have visibility where the kids are at any given time, and also to cut down on the time the kids spend on the road.
We've been operating for over 3 years. We have approximately more than 100 kids in our portfolio, as well as working with 15 schools to and fro. We do pick up, drop off, morning and afternoon. And we are happy to be part of this program.
Thank you.
When you're comfortable in your hair and skin, your true personality shines through. Go to millerandmarian.com and say goodbye to dull hair and skin. African natural beauty has a name, and it's Miller and Marian.
Sophie, une artiste indépendante passionnée de dessin, cherche à monétiser son travail en ligne. Elle entend parler de Decimo, une plateforme de financement participatif pour les créateurs de contenu et décide de s'inscrire. Elle crée un compte sur Decimo, en fournissant des informations de base telles que son nom, son adresse email. Sophie a rempli les informations de base de son compte Decimo et a sélectionné la catégorie A pour son profil. Cependant, elle réalise qu'elle doit fournir une pièce d'identité pour vérifier son identité et devenir un créateur de contenu sur la plateforme. Sophie se met donc en quête de sa carte d'identité et prend une photo claire de celle-ci avec son téléphone portable. Elle la télécharge sur Decimo en suivant les instructions données. Sophie attend maintenant la validation de son compte. Elle est impatiente de commencer à publier son contenu et à interagir avec ses soutiens. Elle sait que la vérification de son identité est importante pour maintenir la sécurité et l'intégrité de la plateforme, et elle est heureuse de contribuer à cet effort. Après quelques heures, Sophie reçoit une notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié et qu'elle peut maintenant commencer à publier du contenu et à accepter des soutiens. Elle est ravie et commence immédiatement à créer des dessins pour les partager avec sa communauté. Elle continue de travailler dur pour développer son contenu et sa relation avec ses soutiens sur la plateforme Decimo. Après avoir reçu la notification de Decimo disant que son compte a été vérifié, Sophie commence à créer du contenu. Elle décide de publier des dessins originaux chaque semaine et de les mettre à disposition de ses soutiens. Grâce à son travail acharné et à son engagement envers sa communauté, Sophie attire rapidement de nouveaux soutiens et voit sa base de fans croître. En plus de recevoir un soutien financier régulier, Sophie offre à ses soutiens des récompenses.
Elle envoie des dessins originaux, des messages personnalisés et des vidéos exclusives à ses soutiens les plus fidèles. En conclusion, sa page Decimo est devenue un lieu où ses soutiens peuvent interagir avec elle et obtenir des dessins exclusifs. Sophie a travaillé dur pour créer une relation durable avec ses soutiens et pour les remercier de leur fidélité.
Salut, je suis Stéphane Moifou, ingénieur biomédical et CEO de la structure générale Biotech. Alors, notre équipement ici est une...
Shall we please be on our feet? Is there anybody from outside, not a Ghanaian, or outside Ghana, who can lead us in a very short, reasonable exercise? I don't want a Ghanaian. A short but reasonable exercise. An exercise that everybody can undertake. And I don't want a Ghanaian to do it. Reasonable to the extent that some of us can bend down, go up, shout, raise hands. A non-Ghanaian, do we have? Okay, yes sir. So we have two, one female and one male. Let's put our hands together for them, please. Thank you. Very quick, short, reasonable exercise.
We are here discussing the AfCFTA, and I want us to spell the acronym AfCFTA using our bodies. Is that okay? Okay. Let us start with the letter A. Can you use your body to show us what A looks like?
Say, are you going to demonstrate? Okay. Let's all follow him, please.
This is A.
When you do it, you shout A.
A. F. C.
Hey.
F.
F.
C.
T.
A.
The A has changed now. Thank you. Let's put our hands together for him. But we are going to repeat it. Don't sit down yet. There's a female coming. We have a female? Yes. Let's put our hands together for her. Good. So we have spelled AfCFTA with our bodies. You can go and rehearse at home. Madam is coming from the AfCFTA Secretariat herself.
Okay, I think, I don't know if I remember this one, but it's something to do with holding the ball and kicking the ball and something like that. So it's volleyball, right? Okay, but let's try. So let's try we'll hold the ball, then we'll put it here, then we'll come and do on the chest. Okay, so we'll get the ball, we'll put it on our head like the way they
Take the ball up.
On the head, then we are going to bring it on the chest, then we'll hold it, then we are going to bring it up.
Good. They are all from Soccer Nation, so they can do it.
Then we are going to shake it,
Attack, turn back, and then you kick it.
Yeah.
But we'll see who will score, because they must score. If they don't score, they haven't achieved.
So let's pick the ball from the floor. So we have it, then throw it in the air. Then let's do a header. It has to come to our chest. Then from the chest, we have to somehow make sure that it lands on our hands near our waist. There we go. It's somewhere here. Can we put it behind our back so that we shake it? And then
Behind our back, yeah, shake it.
Let's hold it.
Hold it well. Make sure it doesn't fall.
There you go.
It's a goal. Let's put our hands together for her. No, so the last one is that I saw a few people who couldn't spell AfCFTA and a few people who also couldn't play ball. Those people are the ones I'm going to call here to bring their own exercise. So if you know you couldn't do any of them, be ready. I'm going to call you. Okay, we want one person to just sing. Give us a song, and I don't want a Ghanaian. Oh, that one is difficult. Looks like the Ghanaians are willing to show power, but I won't let you show power. Okay, someone has been, we have a nomination. Okay, let's put our hands together for her, please. Nice one. Hey, they all didn't tell us where they are coming from, but okay, we'll let them say it before they, yes? Integration. No song. You can conjure something. Do magic.
Hello everyone. Yes, my name is Aminat from Nigeria. Actually, I liked a lot of songs, and then suddenly I was blank when I was called upon. Yes, I don't know. I just want to inspire us. I think I'll just use a statement instead. We're one. Africa is one, and we're united. Here I see beautiful entrepreneurs trying to merge, trying to integrate their businesses for one Africa. There is no quarrel, and we're all smiling together, and we are here together. And I'm hoping with all beautiful entrepreneurs there, we're going to make Africa proud by coming together through AfCFTA. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's put our hands together for her.
But she just gave all of us the last assignment. The last assignment. We are all going to say AfCFTA. Then we end it with the after. So all of us, AfCFTA. After. Jesse, can you say it alone? Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together for ourselves. But we would wish that all of us, let's just exchange. Just pleasantries, greet one person on your left, 10 people before you sit down. 10 people before you sit down. On your left, on your right, shake a person, know where they are coming from, which country they are coming from. Find out who they are, what they do. This is a quick one. We may not have that opportunity again until we close. Where are they coming from? Who are they? What is their name? If you have counted 10 people, you can come back. If you haven't, please, 10 people, minimum. Don't stand alone, otherwise I'll call you. I know. All right. Let's inspire one another, know one another, encourage one another. Okay. Now we can return to our various positions and we can take our seats. Okay, thank you very much. On this note, we are going to invite 2 people from each of the groups. I will start with Group A, Financing for SMEs, Overcoming Financial Barriers to Growth. Shall we be seated, please? Financing for SMEs, Overcoming Financial Barriers to Growth. Can we have a representative from that group to speak on behalf of the entire group? A representative from Group A, Financing for SMEs, Overcoming Financial Barriers to Growth. Now, I know almost everybody who was in that group. So if you don't show up, we'll just appoint one of you to come and do that on behalf of the group. A representative of Group A, Financing for Small and Medium Enterprises, how you overcome financial barriers to growth. Who is coming, please? 1 minute. Who is coming on behalf of Group A? Zenyambe, for your people. Okay. Let's put our hands together for Madam, please. Just 1 minute of what you can tell all of us regarding financing for SMEs, overcoming financial barriers to growth. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Aminat, CEO of Dera Vocational Limited. We're into manufacturing of shoe bags and accessories. We came here purposely because of this event from Nigeria, and I'm so excited. I've learned a lot. Through financing, we learned today that we need to have, if we want to scale up our business, we need to put the process in place, get the necessary documents, ensure you keep books, records of your business, also have collateral. Even if you're a small business, you have to put it in plan. If you need a house to access a loan, probably for you to get your exports done, you need to have a collateral and put it in plan, even if you're small. You can do savings with the banks and then grow from there. Also, there are particular plans of loans accessible to women and also to youth, which you can, there are different plans with the banks, which you can access as well. We also learned as well to think big, And they made us know that finance is available for us, but then most entrepreneurs, they don't have the necessary documents or maybe the necessary information to access those loans. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Financing for SMEs. Now, Group B, harnessing the power of innovation and technology to overcome business barriers to intra-Africa trade. A rep from that, who's coming from the technology side, innovative. I heard a lot of people asking questions in that group, and I know their faces too, so if they don't show up now, I'll call them. Just 1 minute, 45 seconds, 30 seconds of presentation, what you picked up from that group. Okay, let's put hands together for him. Innovation, green business. He's into a lot of things, both in Germany and in Ghana. Just tell us. 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 1 minute.
My name is Otwadu Emmanuel. I'm a physicist by education. And I put up a research after school. I decided to try and set myself up and see what I learned in the university will be helpful in any way. Can I create a business? Can I run that business and become successful? I actually had a lot of challenges along the line, but eventually I became successful. I had a chance to work in Germany. Over here in Ghana, I have about 8 companies. I find myself in oil and gas, telecom, mining, agriculture, and a whole lot of other things. And it's all through partnership. It is never possible for us to work as an individual. It is never, never possible. We need to at least learn something from the Bible, which tells us to love our neighbor as ourselves. And also there's another thing that also says in the Bible, the root of all evil is from money. So the moment you put these two equations as a physicist together, it solves all the challenges that we have in our businesses. When I went to the other room, the biggest challenge that we were discussing, I think I sum it up to communication and logistics. And I see communication aspect also still in logistics. The first challenge that I see from that particular group is that we need to have a platform, we need to have a software that communicates with all of us, because each one of us is producing a product or a byproduct, which you call waste. And all these waste can be consumed to still give you money. I'll give you a typical example. In my house, if I buy yam, the yam together with the cover, everything is 10 cedis. If I chop what is inside and throw the rest away, I'm eating 8 cedis, throwing 2 cedis away. And that is money. As a physicist, I don't throw it away. I still take my 2 cedis, making a compost out of it, drying it and firing it to release gas and other things out of it. There's a lot of opportunities in Africa. Africa is rich. I had the chance to work in Germany, but I decided to come to Ghana. They are still calling me. I said, no, I won't go. Africa is sweet. It's the only place you can go 24/7 without any heater. The cold is a punishment. And they are poor. We are rich, seriously rich, beyond any level. On their road alone, anytime there is a snow, a grader that we cannot afford to even construct road has to be on their road, cleaning the road. There are a lot of issues that they have. They are 100% dependent on us. They only tell us we are poor, and we believe it. That's why we are poor. The moment you get that mindset off and believe that you are rich, I think everything will be okay. And I think together we can build a nation. So let's team up together through AfCFTA and solve our own challenges. Nobody will do it for us except ourselves and God.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we have our next breakout session. Group A will be in this room. Group B is going to go into the other room. And quickly, Group A will be discussing understanding regulatory frameworks and policies to enable business growth. and expansion in a single African market. Group B will be discussing breaking business barriers for AfCFTA acceleration. That will be moderated by Mr. Carl Richards, the Executive Chairman, African Concrete Products Limited. And then Group A will be moderated by Mr. Ian Mashingezi, who is the Director of Programs, West and Central Africa Regional Office, ACBF. So we're going to do this real quick. The panelist for Group A will be Mr. David Ofosu-Dote, and I saw him not too long ago at the back there. Founder and senior partner, ABN Davids Africa, a Pan-African business law firm. And as at last year, they were the #1 African law firm. Let's put our hands together for Dave. That's him coming there. So he would remain here as a panelist in this room. That's Group A. Or let me punish Group A. The last time Group A was in this room, should Group A go to the other side? They are not the same people, but just the name Group A, no, we just want to push them. Okay. They're already seated, I've noticed. So we're going to have Group B move to the other room. Group A, Mr. David Ofosu-Dote, Mr. Jechi Tano comes back, and then Mr. Charles Arthur in 3 will also join them. Group B, the moderator will be Mr. Carl Richards. I mentioned Dr. Grace Emiobeng, the CEO, FC Group. I saw her as well. Dr. Edu Sakodie, CEO, CDH Holdings. And then we will have experience sharing after that. There will be question and answers within that same group. Shall we please break out now? Thank you. Let's put our hands together as we move and change. Thank you very much. Group B, we want to see you in the other room, and you will be discussing breaking business barriers for AfCFTA acceleration. Breaking business barriers for AfCFTA acceleration. Moderator for that, Mr. Carl Richards, Executive Chairman, Africa Concrete Products Limited. Dr. Grace Emiobeng, CEO, FC Group, will be there. Dr. Dusa Kodie, CEO, CDH Holdings, will be there as well. Shall we see that group move there? And then shortly I'm handing over to Group A, moderator, in the person of Mr. Ian Mashingezi, who will be leading Mr. David Ofosu-Dote, Mr. Abu Fall, is it? Yes. And then Mr. Charles Arthur in 3. And then Mr. Jechi Tano as well. Okay. Is Group B gone? Everybody here for Group A? Right. Sorry. Okay, so let me repeat the topic. Understanding regulatory frameworks and policies to enable business growth and expansion in single African market. That is Group A. So you are going to hear the laws and the regulatory stuff. That's why you have the likes of Mr. David Ofosu-Dote here with us. And then Group B will be discussing breaking business barriers for AfCFTA acceleration. If you want to break your barrier to be able to accelerate your opportunities under the AfCFTA, you should be in Group B in the other room. And Dr. Grace Emiobeng, CEO, FC Group, will be there. Dr. Edusa Kodie, CEO, CDH Holdings, will be there as well. On this note, I hand over to the moderators. In here, Mr. Ian Mashingezi, and over there, Mr. Carl Richards. Thank you. So once again, let me say that we have an online audience, and one of our panelists is also online at the moment. Mr. Abu Fall is online. We can be connecting with him online. After all, we just came back from the Innovation and Technology driving AfCFTA. Thank you.
Hello?
Right, thank you. Good afternoon to you all. Where I come from, this session, which comes soon after lunch, we call it the graveyard session, because there's a tendency to start digesting the good food that we had for lunch, but I'm going to appeal to you to stay awake, because we have a very interesting panel in front of you that is going to be sharing their thoughts on the topic that we've been given, understanding the regulatory frameworks as well as policies to enable business growth as well as expansion in a single African market. I think we have been discussing a lot since this morning, but one of the things that we feel we need to take a deep dive on is the issue or the challenge that our regulatory frameworks, our government policies put in the way of SMEs to be able to thrive, SMEs to be able to take advantage of the new Continental Free Trade Agreement that has been availed to us by our leaders. So this is the issue that we want to discuss. How can governments make sure that they create a conducive environment for SMEs to be able to thrive, but not only to thrive in their countries of origin, but for them to be able to take advantage of the new trade agreement, for them to trade across national borders. Yes, we know in the previous session that I was in session B, they're talking about the major challenge of logistics, for example, as a major challenge, but also would like to believe that our policy frameworks, our regulatory frameworks also present a challenge that we need to discuss, but not just to discuss. We want, if you remember from the morning session, the introductory remarks, we want to come out from this conference with clear, implementable, tangible solutions to the problems that we are facing, that we can implement to be able to address the challenges that we are facing. So that is the context in terms of the discussion that we want to go into this afternoon. And to help me speak to this topic, I have a very eminent panel of all men. I see that session B is all women. I don't know whether that was by design or by default. I would also have loved to see some of the panelists here being young men, but I see we are not so very young men sitting in front of you. But I would like to believe we are here to give you the wisdom from our experience, from our long lives. So let's take it from that perspective. So I would like to introduce, maybe I'll be asking the panelists to give us their own understanding of the challenge that regulatory frameworks as well as national policies, regional policies are impeding the operations of our SMEs, as well as from their perspective, what do they believe are some of the solutions that we need to implement to be able to address some of these challenges that we are facing. Let me start with David, who is the founder as well as a senior partner of a law firm, but he tells me he's not just a lawyer, he is also a business owner. So let's hear from his own experiences. Over to you, David.
Thank you, Ian. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you? Okay, and I think it's better now. I should take the microphone? I'll get you another. No, I have the lapel, so once they can hear me. Yes, Ian, thanks for that. I mean, I think you have to look at the challenges of taking advantage of the AfCFTA, not in terms of regulatory framework, because that can create a maze in the mind. You should look at it from the point of view of the business you are doing. So whether you are a lawyer, whether you sell water, or you sell pens, or you transport goods, you have a single market. And if you were operating within one country, you must have set up your business, you must have gotten some license to operate, you must have customers, the customers must pay you, there must be a way of receiving it. If there are disputes, you settle those disputes. And all of them operate within some legal regime. It's the same thing that is happening on the continent, except that you are operating in a different country. So if, for example, you want to sell water in the second country, are you required to set up a business there in order to sell water? That is what the legal framework. And therefore, the immediate challenge that will come to mind is, are you a foreigner? And that's one of the things that we have not confronted as a people. a lot of countries have got laws. If you take Ghana, Nigeria, all of these have investment laws that distinguish a foreigner from a citizen. Is a Nigerian operating in Ghana under the AfCFTA a foreigner or not? And therefore, what it means is that countries need to take a look at their laws and see whether they need to redefine who a foreigner is. A lot of countries haven't done that. Or if you have to identify a buyer, how do you identify the buyer? Is it a local person who is a franchisee, or somebody who is a reseller, or a partner who is setting up a similar business? These are normal things you need to confront, and if you don't have a relationship in another country, then you cannot do it. So again, you come back to the issue of the law. And then when you want to export, the customs issues, etc. All these things put together, what you have is a situation where countries have to find ways of making it easier for other people to operate within their country and to trade within their country. So that's on the side of the government. But let me put the blame more on the side of the businesses. Frankly speaking, I am not an advocate of waiting for government to change laws. Nothing stops you from trading now to the extent that you can identify a buyer. And if you take the guided trade protocol initiative, which has now been expanded from 7 to 31, it is possible to trade now. Of course, there are challenges. I think the bigger question we should be focusing on is what is preventing people from actually taking the initiative to take advantage of the AfCFTA. I see so many businesses who are thinking about the challenges of the law when they have not even examined what those challenges are. And I will implore people to think about it in that way. Just like I do business in Ghana, can I do business in Nigeria? And what do I need to overcome to do it? And how do I overcome it without waiting for the Parliament of Nigeria to change its laws? If we come together, we can lobby to have those laws changed. But for the meantime, can I sell in Nigeria or Togo? Yeah.
My big takeaway from this discussion is, yes, as a businessman, look for your market and establish your networks, find opportunities for you to trade. Don't wait for government to make it work for you. Find ways of making it work for you. But I think if I caught you right at the beginning, you said there are some regulatory frameworks. We need to make sure that we comply with those regulatory frameworks. If it is registering your company, make sure it is registered. If you need to register in the exporting country or country you're going to work with, let's also make sure you understand what the regulatory frameworks are, and let's try to be able to comply so that we don't have any problems going forward. So for me, that's the big takeaway from your submission. Let's move to Charles. Charles is head of export at the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industries. I think being head of export, you do know, I would like to believe, some of the challenges that our regulatory and policy frameworks are out there impeding SMEs to thrive. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, thank you very much. The SMEs, especially in Ghana, they are facing a lot of challenges. One, the regulatory framework that we are talking about, look at the standards that we have when you're going to register your product under Ghana Standard Authority or Food and Drugs Authority, the difficulties that they go through. And even after that, if, let's say, they want to export their product, the difficulties that they will face in the other side. You know, just before December, an SME, a lady came to my office, said I should help them to register their products under NAFDAC, Nigeria. They want to export to Nigeria. And I said, okay. So I got all the information. And at the end, they have to pay over $10,000 before they can register. And if you look at SME, paying $10,000, it's not easy. So, and after, like AfCFTA, there's opportunity in there for us to take. You know, the laws, they want to harmonize the system. But I don't know when they are going to do that. Because if they are able to resolve this situation where Ghana Standard Authority or Food and Drugs Authority will give you the certificate, you can take it to Nigeria without registering there, they will accept it like that. Then it will help them to trade under the AfCFTA so easily. But if you don't do that, it will be difficult for most of them. Because to get $10,000 to go and pay for the registration and before even looking at the other costs that you incur, it's not easy. And one thing that I think the earlier panelists, one of them was saying, is that we should open the rules of origin. We should just put it aside so that companies can easily export their product. You know, if we want to, like what we have, we want to destroy it, then we can do that. Because we want to trade among ourselves. And how are we going to do that? Because if you open it, what the other companies are going to do is that they're going to import the product from, let's say, China, Turkey, and other places, repackage it, and then trade. And we, the SMEs here, will not even produce here and export, but we will be doing the business for other companies, other countries. So we can't, the rules of origin we can't remove it. But what we have to do is that the SMEs have to learn, understand the rules of origin. The rules of origin, the way it has been designed, is there to protect us, to help us to trade under, you know, the product should be like the nationality of the product, you be using the rules of origin, you'll be able to determine it. But if you don't have that, how are you going to do that? Any product can go, and it will not help SMEs at all. So that one, I will not support that. We have to maintain the rules of origin. What we have to do is that, please, let all of us learn, understand the rules of origin. Even not the rules of origin, the other rules, non-tariff barriers. How are we going to do that to reduce it, not eliminate it? It will be difficult for us to eliminate it completely, but reduce it. We should be able to learn all these things. And at the end, I know the SMEs will be, they will understand it better, and they will be able to encourage themselves to take advantage of the AfTA. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that submission. For me, two key takeaways. The certifications, you need certificates to be able to trade within your country, even across your national boundaries, and you need to pay for some of these things. And also the challenge, if you want to export, you need to buy another certificate, to get another certificate from the country that you're exporting to, which is in some cases extremely expensive, which becomes a barrier for our SMEs. So maybe what you're calling for is the acceptability of a certificate issued in Ghana in your exporting country, be it Nigeria, be it Kenya, be it wherever. So this is an issue that needs to be addressed. The second issue is around the rules of origin. I think they were very well articulated this morning by the Chief of Staff from the Secretariat of AfTA. He was very clear about those. The suggestion is let's learn, let's know some of these things, that these requirements or that are expected of us if you want to take advantage of the AfCFTA, not just the rules of origin, but all the protocols, whatever that are around them. As an SME, get to understand them. The Secretariat has been very clear. They are there to make this information available. Organizations like ourselves, we are there to build your capacity so that you understand some of these issues, some of these requirements for you to be able to trade lawfully across our national boundaries. Let's get to Geke first. A lecturer, you are the one who is training our people out there. What are you training them to in terms of some of these issues that you are discussing here?
Thank you very much, and thank you to my co-panelists and to the facilitator. I very much appreciate the points of view that my co-panelists have expressed, starting from a very practical dimension in terms of the challenges, as my colleague to my immediate right, and also David's point earlier about the fact that we must proceed with what we have, even as we seek to change frameworks that are, that can be more favorable to us at the macro level. In other words, in my interpretation, we need to walk on more than one leg at the same time. And I think it's an important consideration because regulatory frameworks actually are a very powerful thing. I mean, they are part of the soft power of how trade rules are constructed, but trade rules are always constructed around given interests, and the interests may not coincide, and the interests reflect different competitive goals, and therefore somebody's interests may be in conflict with another. What we have seen is that the experience in Africa so far, Ghana included, of course, is that we have inherited a pattern of trade regulatory frameworks which have become established in recent decades, especially since the middle of the 1990s with the formation of the WTO, which themselves constitute barriers, okay? Here we are in a situation where every day we hear that, let's say there's a WTO ministerial conference and there's conflict and the Africa group have gone this way and the Global South groups are going that way and so on and so forth, because those are real issues. Just to give an example, the experience so far implies that the dominant ways in which trade regulatory frameworks are approached are those which were initiated by the big global trading powers, and that they did so to integrate greater parts of the world economy and world trading regimes around their interests. That is what prevails. So for example, just a summary, a very quick two examples. In the case of the WTO, for example, it is about trade liberalization. Everybody has to reduce their tariffs and so on. But you had a situation where before you started the negotiations to reduce your tariffs, you were allowed a way in which you can transfer your export bans, your prohibitions and so on, to give them a tariff form so that the tariffs can be negotiated. But here you are in Africa that even before you got to that stage, because of World Bank, IMF, donors, and so on and so forth, you have removed all your tariffs already. So the main thing that you are supposed to negotiate with, you don't even have to start with. The process of so-called tarification, which enabled, let's say, a country like Japan to increase its tariff on rice from 20% to 400%, and then negotiate that downwards as part of a trade liberalization process. You had missed that out. Secondly, the WTO was constructed, the regulatory framework was constructed as something called a single undertaking. You can't take one part of the agreement and leave another. Whether it's unfavorable to you or not, you have to take it as a whole. But this same single undertaking was done by certain trade-offs. So let's say if you take the agreement on services, and it is the same regulatory framework established in the WTO on the agreement of services. That is the model that we have imported into the AfCFTA. And I'm trying to say we should be alert to some of these things. Because when the agreement on trade and services was promoted, particularly by the United States, financial services, they knew that they would gain advantage in it, and so on and so forth. Africa groups would have said, well, in that case, you have to open up in quid pro quo, open up greater access to your agricultural markets. We will do it. So you give us this, we will give you that. You gave us that, they didn't give you the other. The point I'm making here is that there is a way in which we have inherited regulatory frameworks which can impede the processes of building our own business capacities and interlinkages from the SME scale upwards if we do not use the opportunity of our own rules making to repair some of the historic damage and the historic deficits and problems that we have inherited. The same you can say, especially in the regional trade arena around the economic partnership agreements with the EU. Every approach that we have within Africa, the dominant approaches that we have within Africa to regional trade is the template of the EU agreement that we have kind of inherited. So that's one challenge. The issue of repairing some damage, setting our own rules which prioritize our own needs first and gives us a greater coherence to this. And coherence is the second part. David I met before long ago in a different setting. We had a situation where the now very famous, if he wasn't famous before, if you're Ghanaian now, he's definitely famous, a man called Alain Chairman-Ting. He used to be Minister of Trade. Famous for other reasons today, but we won't go into that. He was a Minister of Trade at the time of the Hong Kong Ministerial of the WTO. The Hong Kong Ministerial broke down because the Africa Group and Africa governments in particular refused the expansion of the WTO liberalization agenda into what they call trade-related areas, which includes investment, regulations, procurement, and so on and so forth. Because to do so would to give up more whilst you haven't repaired the old inequities, the existing inequities and imbalances in that. Alan Chairman Ting, well, Ghana then was the chair of the Africa Group, so Alan was the chair of the Africa Group in Hong Kong. So he was the spokesperson and was very vocal, offering a step-by-step cogent argument, not simply against the trade-related areas because of the inequity in the WTO, but how they will harm our economies back home. One of those policies was the question of public procurement. I believe that's where I met David in that context. So this same man does this brilliant job on behalf of Africa to buy you the policy space to construct the kind of policies that which my colleagues have spoken about. And then a few months later, he's here in the Ghana Parliament promoting a Ghana procurement bill far more inimical than the one he was. So there's no coherence between what you say somewhere and why? Because here, you're on your own. You are no longer in the Africa Group. And the EU is pressurizing you. The IMF is pressurizing you. So you lack coherence from that point of view. Okay, now think of public procurement, a tool where every aspect of public expenditure, not simply at the level of the MMDAs and so on, but public hospitals, public schools, a powerful tool for SMEs. An extraordinarily powerful tool for SMEs. Giving up no coherence between that, both as a regulatory thing or as a policy for SMEs as well. So repair is one dimension, coherence is a last dimension. The final point I want to make about is the process of harmonization. We can take harmonization from the point of view of what my colleague just said in terms of the different rules of registration and so on. But there are other factors to consider. Let's be honest. So far, part of our trade liberalization experience, our experience as regional trade blocs and so on, includes problems that we have with our neighbors, not simply at the level of policy or cross-border, but internally. Ghana, for example, David was making the point. How do you define who is a foreigner or not a foreigner? In retail trade, for example, the presence of West African traders, let's say Nigerians, is seen as a problem. Now that is a problem to repair. You have to find a way to repair that. You cannot say, I'm integrating, and at the same time, they are not welcome. Which is it? Okay, the last census in Accra, in Ghana, showed that in the wider metropolitan Accra region, that's beyond the city of Accra, the wider metropolitan Accra region, about almost 40% of the residents are of a originally non-Ghanaian background. People from Sierra Leone, Liberia, Nigeria, and so on and so forth. The point is that it is time, the opportunity is fertile to rethink some of these things in a way that actually there's a win-win for everybody. Otherwise, the stronger, in the same way as we are suffering at the regional level with the EU or the WTO level with the big powers, here too, the stronger parties will gain at the expense of the weaker parties, and rather than integration, you'll get discord. So the point about policy coherence is about the sectors and the overall approach. The coherence is about the harmonization is about the people to people and the micro level, and the question of repairing the damage. Even if we cannot repair it at a certain level in the WTO and so on, we should use this history as a point of a point of departure for innovating in terms of our own regulatory framework. Otherwise, you are importing and internalizing and putting what has harmed you as your own product. It's a self-inflicted kind of thing. And I think our conversations that must take off from the practicalities that have been laid out, but must never lose sight of the wider, the power, the soft power, and the way in which the regulatory framework is an enabler or a hindrance to constructing the kind of integration that we want.
Ian, if you may permit me to, I think it's important we look at practical things and the audience understand our SMEs. He referred to procurement as an example. Much as it is good, at that time we had declared HIPIC and procurement laws, public financial management systems. These were all part of the conditionalities. And I recall very well, as a member of the committee of experts, one of the provisions we made in the procurement draft was compulsory local counterpart clause, but that didn't get accepted in Parliament. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this is at times we confuse our role as businesses with fighting government. I'll give you another example. My colleague from Chamber of Commerce talks about the 10,000. If you take Ghana, Nigeria, all countries seeking IMF, it is almost impossible for nations to want to wipe out that 10,000 at this stage because they need the money and they need to meet increased so-called conditionality of GDP to local tax ratio, which is 18% in Ghana. Just give me a minute. It's very important that we understand these things. So these are difficult challenges businesses must face. But the critical question we need to ask, can SMEs wait for government to change their laws before they trade? So I want to take exactly his example. I want to export to Nigeria. I don't know what his colleague was exporting. They asked me to pay 10,000. There are three options. As a rule, I never wait for government for anything. I never wait. And I'm a living example. We've gone to 5 African countries. It is predated the AfCFTA, and I say that all the time. I have 10,000 to pay. I cannot wait for Parliament of Nigeria to remove that 10,000. One option, am I exporting enough and making margin in such a way that even if I pay that 10,000, I can still make profit? If my margin is 100,000, why don't I go ahead and pay the 10,000 and export? Because by the time the government will zeroize the tariff under the AfCFTA, and by the time rules of origin, everything will settle, I will be local on the ground, my brand will be known. That's one option. 2, is it possible for me to find a local partner who is actually importing my goods and therefore I don't need to pay the 10,000 because I don't need to set up? It's also another way of trading under the AfCFTA. 3, is there a business opportunity for me to aggregate goods from other people in the same standard so that we have got so much volume? Because Nigeria is 180 million people. If I'm selling to 30 million people in Ghana and Nigeria has asked me to pay only 10,000, if I aggregated a large volume, then the 10,000 become infinitesimal. Businesses, especially SMEs, should stop waiting for governments. There are ways to go around it. We shouldn't wait for governments. The governments are never going to act. There's pressure from IMF and other places. We should stop waiting for them.
I think if I'm to summarize the two submissions, starting with yours, he is basically saying there's always a way. Let's find that way. Let's not see these barriers as barriers. There's always a way of going around those barriers, but let's do it legally. I want to add from you, Prof, two key words that you have been using: coherence, harmonization. He said the time is now. The time is fatal for SMEs to thrive, but let's be coherent. Let's make sure there is harmonization. And you also spoke to the global trade framework, the World WTOs and others. I was listening to somebody who was saying, as Africans, we have one major problem as a player on the global market, okay? He said, we are trying to fight global battles with one hand tied behind our back and us being blindfolded, and you are expected to fight with one hand. That is the reality as a global player. But we are saying, as Africans, let's find African solutions to the challenges that you are facing. That's the way I would like to summarize this discussion. We have online Abu from AFDB, trade policy, that's his area of specialization. Abu, we have many SMEs in the room right now who want to take advantage of the AfCFTA to be able to trade across the continent. And by doing so, they hope to be contributing, I'm sure, they've not said it, I'm saying it on their behalf, to contribute to the work, to AFDB's high fives that you are prioritizing, that we focus on as a continent. Now, my question is, SMEs are saying that there are these challenges, regulatory frameworks, policy frameworks that we are facing. What is it that AFDB is doing or can do better in terms of creating opportunities, removing these barriers that our SMEs are facing? If you can come in on that, Abu, please. Thanks. You are muted. You are muted.
I've unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Please proceed.
Can you hear me? I've unmuted actually.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So thank you very much. I think that I've listened to the panelists, and one key aspect obviously is that as far as we are there are a lot of fragility in the continent. So the importance of regulatory frameworks and how we are supporting countries to set up the right enabling environment to support SME growth and trade within the ACFTA. For example, we have a project in Tunisia, which is called the Support Project for Structural Transformation and Competitiveness of Niche Markets in Tunisia. So this is really looking at sectoral strategy to determine how to improve the competitiveness of key value chains under their national industrial policy. So countries really need to embed, the right policies to support their industries, but also make sure that, these countries can, these SMEs can really go to trade within their country, but also to other countries under the ACFTA. We've done, for example, study on trade obstacles in Central Africa, but focusing on women traders. How are we also going to deploy digitalization to support, SMEs to trade under the ACFTA? There's a lot of support work that we are also doing in terms of industrial policy support to countries such as Senegal, Ethiopia, but also enhancing. There's a project in Rwanda, which is called Enhancing the Quality of Industrial Policy Project, but essentially focusing also on supporting governments and agencies to really build and coordinate policies within their countries. The bank, as I mentioned, is working on trade finance, for example, to support also SMEs through commercial banks. So there's an array of intervention that the bank is doing. I cannot really be as exhaustive as I would like to be. But for us, I think there are some key principles that we think we should factor in to make sure that SMEs are really the key players to make the ACFTA work. For example, think that scaling this intervention is important. As I mentioned earlier, it's important to harmonize these policies. So it's good in our approach to scale these interventions to make sure that countries do really integrate these regulatory frameworks, but in a harmonized fashion. The key aspect here is that we really need to reverse the fact that although Africa is well integrated into global value chains, unfortunately, we are not actually, this integration really stems from forward linkages, which means that we essentially act as exporters of primary commodities. This has to change. And for this to change, I think the principles that we are trying to integrate into our operations are that we really try to push as much as possible for governments to adopt, broad programs of regulatory frameworks with clear objectives and frameworks for implementation. This is very, very important. One thing that the ACFTA is doing is, negotiations, rules of origins, negotiation on services, competition laws, etc. But one thing is that, these frameworks have to be very clear, and the implementation also has to be very clear and time-bound. It is also important, as far as the bank is concerned, to really get countries to eliminate unnecessary barriers to trade. I've mentioned the experience in Northern Togo. I mean, I personally work on a lot of road projects at the bank, but dealing with the trade facilitation aspect. And I can mention so many barriers to trade between countries, although we've actually set up the infrastructure to facilitate trade, for example, through some of these one-stop border posts, etc. But the effective implementation of these trade facilitation measures is actually not as effective as we would like to be. So it is important that that these regulations and the institutions that are charged with the implementation are transparent and actually do their job effectively, so in support of SMEs. It is also important, finally, I think, to really assess the impacts and review, the regulatory frameworks systematically. It's not a one-time effort. I think we have to review this periodically and really make sure that they actually meet with the intended objectives. And then we can refocus and see how we can also integrate, the complex economic and social environments. We have the Russia-Ukraine conflict, we've had COVID and so forth. So for us, this is a perpetual exercise, but it is important that, implementation is assessed as objectively as possible, and that these lessons learned can be integrated. But the final message is really that, for us, for the AfCFTA to really work, there needs to be harmonization, but also, a will to really implement these as effectively as possible. So the bank, through all its operations, really is trying to push RMCs to adopt the right mechanisms to support trade. We are also supporting SMEs through trade finance operations with commercial banks, because one thing is to trade, but to trade you also need access to finance. So, I'm just going to stop here because there are so many aspects that the bank does, which we cannot, talk about within the scope of this workshop. But the bank is definitely open and is providing support to REX, to the AfCFTA, and to multiple countries to really make this as effective as possible and meet the vision 2063 of the AU. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Abu, for that intervention. If I am to summarize, the active participation of the private sector, making sure that SMEs are not left behind in this process, and especially within the context of the new trade agreement. Again, is emphasizing coherence, harmonization, integration. Mathematics was not one of my favorite subjects at school. If I'm to develop a new equation, coherence plus harmonization is equal to integration. We cannot have integration if we don't have a coherent approach to how we are approaching some of these issues that we are discussing. We cannot have integration without harmonization of our policy frameworks, our regulatory frameworks. So these are issues that we need to make sure that we address. Let me open. The panelists have shared their perspectives. Now it's Q&A. I would like to open the session to any questions, any insights that you would like to share. Feel free to do that now.
Any questions, please?
So my name is Daniel, and it's insightful listening to the panelists. So this is to Lawyer David and Mr. Charles and all the panelists. One of the things I didn't hear too much on was youth and women. And I wanted to understand. So we're looking at regulatory frameworks and policies. Currently, for a young SME here, there are a number of SMEs here who don't have any affiliation with whether Chamber of Commerce, AGI, and all the others. There are currently a number of these associations who know more of the information around the AfCFTA. If I'm a youth SME or a woman-led SME, how do I maneuver my ways to be doing businesses in other African countries, given the current situation? So these are things I would want to, maybe all the three panelists to just give their thoughts on how do youth and women-led businesses leverage their way out. Yeah, because you can't go join AGI, the Chamber of Commerce. These are all membership associations where you need to be paying dues. You are not there yet, but you still have to produce your products and send them to Kenya and Rwanda and Kigali and all others. How do you have to maneuver your way?
Okay. For the associations, they are good because there are a lot of benefits when you join the associations. Okay, some of us are here because of associations that we have joined anyway. And my problem is to have free trade. GEPA has done a lot to help some entrepreneurs. I know they have a shop in Kenya that they have stocked some products from entrepreneurs in Ghana. And when you go to Azam Bank, there's also Made in Ghana shop that has some African products or Ghana products. I don't know what AfCFTA can do with the various organizations such as Ghana Enterprises Agency, other groups, or even AfCFTA themselves, like True Us here. Organize us, equip us, come to our place, look at what we have, what we are doing. Are we able to expand? Can we take advantage of AfCFTA? Then you coach us, you hold our hands. That can be a pilot program for you. Because as you said, if you want to go to South Africa, you have to go and pay FDA for them to give you certification. But if you agree among yourself, as in the countries that they've come together to do the AfCFTA, let's start with probably 100 organizations from each country as a pilot program and use them to see how the whole thing will work, as in us not paying the FDA and all that. When you finish with the 100 and you realize it has worked, then at least you can leave it as a free range. Everybody now, we know there's a success story. It has worked and entrepreneurs can take advantage of it. But as it stands, when you invite us to come to meetings like this, we come and you give us talk and we go. Actually, it ends there. I was supposed to come with a friend. She said she's not coming because she's been to a lot of AfCFTA trainings and she doesn't know what to do with it, and it's an old story over and over. So I feel there should be a pilot program with some entrepreneurs before you really roll it up, because some of us, we don't have actually the money to go and do the FDA and all that for now. Thank you so much.
Any other? Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the panelists. Actually, all being said, it's actually true that we've been to different trainings. And I, for one, am actually particular about having role models that can actually say, even if we have entrepreneurs that they've trained, even if it's just 5 that can start with, they will be the one to lead others on. There are some major challenges that we need you to look into. Logistics, number 1. Within Africa, it's so expensive. It's expensive and it's difficult to ship or to move our goods from Nigeria to Ghana or to Gambia. I was at Gambia International Trade Fair, and I know how much my company spent on logistics, moving our goods, even when the Nigerian government step in through Nigeria Export Promotion Council to help us with part of the logistic complaint, we still spend a lot of money. How many SME business can actually afford that? And also creating a platform that can help with integration, like a hub. I know there's a hub. I tried registering on it today. I could not save my company profile. I don't know, maybe there's still a work in progress. If there is a way that they can, I know there are trade groups that you can make use of, invite them, let them bring their members that they know that they have solid products that they are into export already, let them be on the platform. And you see how we are going to mix, network, move beyond what is all being said and make things happen. Everyone, SMEs are struggling and they are striving to make African trade work. But then it's as if we are being tied down with a lot of shackles, and there are opportunities that we are seeing. The loan, the CBN, the loan, the 6 billion naira, how do we assess it? Most times we just hear it and that's it. Also in Nigeria, I noticed that every entrepreneur in different African countries, we are facing the same challenges. Nigeria, Ghana, Gambia, I've been to different countries and I can tell you we are all saying the same struggles. And for us to be, before we can get here, we know how much it took us that we spent, how many businesses can, it's not, we're saying free trade, is it truly free within Africa? Sending 2 kg to US from Nigeria is more cheaper than sending 2 kg to Ghana. That is absurd. And we are just, those are the things that we need to be resolved. We are ready to work. We are ready to make things happen, but then we need your support. Thank you very much.
My question is it possible for us to form something like a cocoa board for each of the category of activities that we are doing, so that that board will aggregate all these things? And since it's a government-to-government approach, then it becomes easy. Through that board, maybe Ghana have a board that is aggregating maybe maize, sending it to maybe Nigeria. So that board communicates with Nigeria, that needs maize maybe into their industry. In that case, it becomes easier for we doing business locally here.
All right, so we take the last one and then.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Erasmus Philippa Holu. I'm into handicraft production and export. It will shock you to know that even this year, Ghana Export Promotion Authority, goods that they aggregate to send to Nigeria for exhibition was delayed, and basically the exhibition was almost over before the goods was released. Ghana Export Promotion Authority. And about 8 years ago, I was part of the team that were going to Abuja. The same thing happens to us. Ghana Export Promotion Authority. So I'm just trying to say that even sometimes it's even easier for you, the businessman, to get to Semeboda and find your way through than even government to government. I was a victim. This year I didn't go, but my team who went, they were a victim. So what I'm trying to say is that we had ETLS, a lot of challenges. We had these things happening. Now there's AfCFTA. How are we making sure that the ordinary or the customs officer or the stakeholders at the borders are fully aware of these things? We talk about it here, but those that are implemented, those that are on the ground, you get there and what we are talking about, put your paper aside. You have to talk to them and find your way through. So please, AfCFTA, yes, it's good, nice. Please, practically, let's bring it down, so that me, a small businessman, when I get there, I can go and do my business. Thank you.
AfCFTA, yes, but we have serious problems, serious barriers that we want to overcome. I think the message is very clear, and we've been given examples of those issues that we want to address. Let me start by saying that as SMEs, one thing that we need you to do is to speak with one voice. Don't try to fight the battles as an individual. who wants to export elsewhere. Organize yourselves, speak with one voice. That's one, if you are from Ghana, for example. Then when you do that, make sure the countries that you want to go to, they also do a similar process. So that when you are going to Nigeria, to Gambia, those are two countries that have been mentioned, you are not going as your own SME company, but you are going as a group to meet your counterparts in the other country. They will fight your battles in their own country because they also want you to fight their battles in your own, here in Ghana, for example, okay? So for me, we need to find, he was very clear, there are problems, yes, we admit, but let's find solutions to those problems. And we do have the solutions if we look hard enough, okay? That's my message to you. A lot of times we are fighting for a seat at the table. Let's take that table, for example. We want to go and sit where Barasu and our camera lady are sitting. We are busy fighting to get a seat there. But sometimes it's better to create your own table. And my message to you as SMEs, create your own table and use that table to fight your battles. Don't try to fight as an individual. That's my message to you. She said, let's start with a pilot project. For me, that's exactly what you could be doing. Let's organize ourselves. Those who are in shea butter, African women, they want to look beautiful. But I come from Southern Africa, very dry, very hot. Your shea butter will do miracles to our women down there. Organize yourself, go as a group to say, we are shea butter traders, we want to give you beauty solutions. Okay? Then also find out what is it you want as a country from them. So that when you go there, you say, we want to give you this, what can you give us? So that another message that came out, aggregation, so that you cannot send your products. I was in the other group, was it here? I don't remember. Where products have to go via Portugal to go to an African country. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. We have the Rwanda Airs, the South Africans, the Ethiopian Air. They have cargo planes. Aggregate as Ghanaian SMEs a product that is needed in Southern Africa, in East Africa, but when that plane comes back, it should not come empty. Let it also bring what you might need here as a finished product, as a raw material to your own products. So for me, those are practical solutions that we need to make. That will be, I want to give it back to you, my dear lady, as a challenge. That is your pilot project for you. Organize yourselves, find solutions. Let's find ways around these barriers. Government will not do it for us. They are doing the best that they can, but I think some of the solutions, they are in us. Let's find those solutions. Let's make use of them. I'll now give the opportunity to my panelists to respond, pick and choose in very, very few minutes in the interest of time. If we are allowed, maybe we could do another round of questions before we proceed. So if you can, in very short, I've been long, but be short.
Yeah, for those who say they need guidance, there's a gentleman at the back on the table who came. He's called Michael. Michael, you can wave for them to see you. I mean, the time is short. If you want to talk to me or, I mean, just speak to Michael about guidance, some of the problems you are talking about are actually solvable. There was a particular question about the youth I want to address. I think your problem is even much easier. I mean, yes, you may want to shy away from the like of AGI, Chamber of Commerce. I will recommend the amount of money they take is not as frightening as talk to them. But having said that, you are more IT savvy, you go online, it's easy for you to find buyers around, and there are actually platforms now which you can sell your goods on across Africa now, and you already have PAPs working in some countries. So I think too many people are actually waiting to have too many regulations cleared. I want to really encourage you. And you talked about shea butter. Shea butter and kente cloth. The demand in Southern Africa is very, very high. And you don't need to meet any standards. There is no harmonized standards and reciprocity. You can export now. People are exporting. So it depends on the sector you are in. I mean, there's a Ghanaian company which is already operating in 35 African countries. I think we are imagining too many blocks. And let me land on this. Look at science to tell you whether people are trading or not, right? Yes, AfCFTA, we all need it. And I really, really believe AfCFTA is going to change the story. But I have never lose opportunity to emphasize that intra-Africa trade has moved from 3% to 18% before AfCFTA. People are trading. Ethiopian Airlines just announced that from the end of October, they are starting 14 flights a week to Ghana. Why would they be doing 14 flights a week if people were not trading? Think about it again. People are trading. They are already trading. I know the problems are there, but people are actually trading. So look for the product you are in. If you're already meeting your demand in, let's say, Ghana or Togo or Benin, then you want to have more market outside, talk to people. I mean, and some of us are prepared to find time to talk to you. As for our governments, please do not wait for them. And I want to say something before. Ghana imports a lot of onions from Niger. If ECOWAS decides to close the border to Niger, you are not getting your onions. You don't control ECOWAS. Don't allow the decisions of our politicians to be the reason why you won't trade. That's the point. People are trading. Just make the effort, and if you need help, ask for the help. Thank you.
Yes, I want to, what he said, come to us, come and talk to the associations, Chamber of Commerce, AGI, and the others. You know, this year we have organized this training program in all the regions in Ghana. And it's not for only members. You open it because GIZ sponsored us and they said we should open it up. So we open it. So if you want to join, you can join. And if you are not a member, you can still get the training. So you come and talk to us and you benefit from what we are doing. Okay, thank you.
The gentleman who was standing up just now is from an organization called Africa Skills Hub. If you are an SME struggling with some of these issues that we are discussing, they help you by trainings to incubate SMEs, so go to him, they'll be able to help you. We have run out of time. Group B has already joined us, so we need to be winding down now. So any last thoughts from you?
Well, I mean, I think the thrust of the conversation is in two directions, which I think we need to keep in mind in parallel. The first dimension is that create facts on the ground. That is what my colleagues are insisting upon in terms of continue to practically explore and take advantage of whatever opportunities exist and seek the collaborations, the partnerships, the supports that will enable you to do so. That creates a certain momentum in its own terms, but you will still need overall the kind of regulatory frameworks which consolidate whatever breakthroughs that you make, as well as give a more enabling environment that can be more beneficial to African operators, to SMEs, and so on and so forth. The points that I made earlier included the point of using the opportunity of the AfCFTA to refine and deepen the regulatory frameworks which we develop to repair existing problems, including all the problems of the cross-border and so on and so forth. I think that point is incontrovertible. The second point I was making was that unless we do so, we continue to import the kind of regulatory frameworks which we have inherited, not necessarily by choice, but through the other frameworks that we have been forced to engage with, like the WTOs, like the economic partnerships, and so on and so forth. And this is our moment to innovate. Without that innovation, you will not have a consistent approach to SMEs, to youth, to women, and so on. So this is precisely the moment to be able to be doing some of those things. And lastly, the advantage of having the regulatory framework is that it allows us not simply to address the concerns of the micro concerns of individual operators and sectors and so on, but the macro things that we need to do together. David mentioned a very important point right at the beginning about the struggles that different governments are going through, for example, because of, let's say, IMF regulations or your debt crisis and so on. the role that customs revenues continues to play in our region. Many governments cannot give that up. That's a barrier. And those same governments who are unable to give that, therefore boost the customs-related bureaucracy, who are not well paid anyway, and you continue to have your cross-border problems and so on. Some of the innovations must address through our regulatory frameworks what are going to be, how do we bear and share the cost of adjustment of those who are going to lose from the kind of integration, because there will be losers. Some are in a stronger position than others. Those are some of the questions which are unavoidable, no matter what gains are being made on the ground. There are also the questions which, when you address, gains that are being made on the ground are consolidated and elevated. And that's why I think the question of regulatory frameworks willy-nilly remains as central as any of the points that my friends here have made as well. Thank you.
We have one panelist online. Abu, if you have any parting shots, we have seriously run out of time. If you are still available. If not, in the interest of time, I shall not try to summarize the session, but all I can say is that let us find African solutions to the barriers that we are facing as SMEs. The solutions are there. The message is very clear. We just need to look hard enough and we'll find them. But when we do something that will help us actually is for us to be organized so that we work as a group. You can't fight your battles alone. Let's join hands, and together we can create the Africa that we want. Thank you so very much for this session.
Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together for the panel. Great job. Insightful conversations, and I'm sure that we can go on and on, but the day is almost done. I was entitled to 5 minutes each for messages from the plenaries, and I actually did 2 minutes each for the group, the first plenary. So I'm going to do 2 minutes again for the second plenary, this one. Volunteers from the two groups will just do a minute or so quickly of what they can take away from that particular session that we had, and then we summarize with a closing remarks and a vote of thanks, and we can all be out of here. But so do we get a volunteer? While we're waiting for that volunteer, again, I noticed that I was also entitled to say a thing or two here, and so I'll chip in at this point. And it was refreshing to hear from the likes of Mr. David Ofosu-Dorotey. Already, he's also an executive with Afro Champions, and his law firm, as I said earlier before he joined us, as of last year was ranked Africa's #1. And he has already, he's one of the persons who has been saying that he's already exporting services. If you think that we are only exporting goods, David Ofosu-Dorotey has proven that services is already out there. His law firms are in 6 African countries already and networked to 30 African countries. So you can be a journalist and you'll be exporting your reporting skill in, say, Kenya, reporting for K24, and you're offering service. That is also AfCFTA. You can be a nurse and decide to go and work in Gambia, a hospital in Gambia. You'll be exporting your nursing services in Gambia. Same way a teacher would love to go to, say, Rwanda and teach there. You'll be exporting. So a lot is going on, particularly under the services sector. And if you think that it's only for goods, services are also included. The other thing is that I heard somebody remark that about 5 people can be taken for a pilot just to start with, so that we can see that the thing works, and then they can come and be like an evangelist and preach to us. The good news is that about 80 people, just last month, and I think, Godfred, you are the National Coordination Office to meet Dr. Farid. 80 people were sent to Kenya as a pilot to actually take their goods to Kenya and go and sell, find counterparts and deliver to them. and then see whether they have any hiccups, difficulties, whether they need FDA certifications, whether they need their certificate of origins. They all came back. Some had difficulties, some went through successfully. That has been done. Now they are putting together another list of over 100 people. I'm saying this because you may not be aware. That's why you are hoping that some 5 people should be taken first. Already 80 have gone. Over 100 are going to go to Rwanda. And over 100 again are going to go to Tanzania. So people are going, and so everything go to the NCO, and somebody mentioned it in the earlier, your National Coordination Office. The Ministry of Trade and Industry, they have a unit that they've seeded all activities around AfCFTA to, and that is the AfCFTA National Coordination Office. I'm sure somebody like Mr. Nyamibe, if he will tell you a lot more. It's located at the ground floor of the AfCFTA Secretariat, the Africa Trade House. That same building opposite City House. Ground floor, just at the reception, down there. The head over there is Dr. Farid Arthur. Now, they are enlisting all the SMEs. This young man called the last time that he was looking for such opportunities. He went to the office and he was granted all the access. So please, go there on regular basis. They are registering people. This is beyond the guided trade initiative. So beyond the guided trade initiative that took 7 countries in October 7th last year, and aside the guided trade initiative that is coming up again in Rwanda, these individual SMEs are being sent out, guide you and take you out. Kindly take advantage, because I got a message from Dr. Farid Arthur. Because he's not here, I needed to push this info out for you. You can swamp there. They are willing to accept you anytime. Go and inquire and see how you can take your goods. Maybe when you go first time, they will tell you don't have FDA in Kenya, you don't have this and this. They will show you and guide you. The likes of Mr. Fechi Nakoto from Customs and the rest are guiding SMEs on daily basis to be able to assess that. So you can take advantage of that. On that note, I take my 2 people, one from Group A, Group B. Peter. Microphone to Peter. Yeah.
Okay, so I was part of Group B, and we were looking at...
You can come here, Pharaoh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Peter Fiamon. I work with the High Commission of Canada in Accra, but I'm also here to support the rapporteuring of proceedings. So I was part of Group B, and we're looking at breaking business barriers. So we focus mostly in that session. We're looking at the non-tariff barriers. We said most of these non-tariff barriers are subjectives, and a lot of companies may have gone through different processes. Everyone has his own experiences. We're lucky to have on the panel Dr. Grace Ame Oben, who has had about 45 years experience in the cosmetic business. Initially started with importing, and then after facing some challenges, trying to do it locally. She shared her experience, vast experience, and also examples where she was trying to set up, with the help of AB and David, set up in Uganda, but then she experienced some barriers, some cultural shocks. She shared those experiences, and in an attempt to identify ways of overcoming those barriers, shared with us some ways of going about them. One way is education, focusing on the technical vocational education sector, as a way of actually overcoming some of the barriers that businesses face. In the group as well, it was very interactive, I must say. I think a number of things also came up that I think we should bear here. One thing that we focused on was building trust. Building trust in businesses. One way of actually overcoming the barriers is to build trust. And it was one of the things that was highlighted. Another thing that was highlighted was forming cooperatives business cooperatives, effective business cooperatives, to be able to break the barriers that we encounter. We know all of us, most SMEs belong to business associations. We were also advised to leverage our membership in these associations to be able to overcome some of the barriers, the non-tariff barriers that we may encounter over time. So by and large, I think we had a very good discussion, and ours was focusing on the non-tariff barriers, and we've shared some initial areas where we think once we implement, we can overcome those barriers. In 2 minutes, I think my job is done. We will provide the details in the report, and thank you.
Thank you. Let's put our hands for Peter. So I'm going to take the next 2 minutes, and I'll tell you what they learned and Peter talked about, and who Peter is, and the concern that the madam here raised about her friend who was unwilling to come for a program like this. I'll tell you the synergies shortly. But let's take Group B. Yours was Group B? Okay, so Group A. Who is coming for Group A? Group A. Framework, or as you call names, including the lawyers. All right, so I'll call names. I give 10 seconds and I call names. Hey, but Group A, rather, they were asking they were asking questions about. Very difficult questions for that matter. Anyone coming from Group A? This table, they were all in Group A. This table were all in Group A. I think, no, Peter's table, no, they were in Group B. Yes, madam. Summarize something for us for Group A.
Okay, my name is Ramat Chicho Saijima and from Chobox Express. One, in summary, we have our African challenges, and we must find African solutions to our own problems. We shouldn't wait for government to intervene when we can actually try, whether legally or illegally, to find a solution. At the end of the day, we shall trade and we shall make successes and learn from the story. In terms of piloting, we've heard that it started, which is a good feedback already. And so for us, we are visiting the place, I mean myself and my friend, we are visiting the place on Tuesday because we can't be there tomorrow. We will have to be here tomorrow. Otherwise, we are taking the action now. But basically, action now, find solutions that will suit you to help you or solve your problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that summary. So I will be taking the closing remarks, and I will be taking the vote of thanks, also coming from Mr. Nyamibefi, and then Prof. Betha Osei Shidia will just give us the closing remarks on that. But as I assured, Peter is with a trade session that has been leading the trade section with the Canadian High Commission. And Peter is here. We heard him earlier talk about how we can take advantage of our trade attaches in the various missions, Ghanaian missions, to be able to connect our trading. If you choose to sit at home as an SME and hear things and programs like this and not to move and meet the likes of Peter and the likes of AB and David that we heard is helping some groups and all of that, waiting that government will come home and come and look for you to support you, it will be difficult. It will be in programs like this that you will meet Mr. Nyamibefi, who has worked extensively heading the multilateral department of the Trade Ministry for several years, and now lecturer at Korea. This is where you can meet them, and this is where you connect and be able to take advantage of what we are all seeking to do. Otherwise, the info will not come home. And so if you don't want to wait for government, you have to begin to take actions. I just want to let you go and advise your friend that the next time when she hears of such a program, please, it's important. The info is out there. You can only hear them from places like this, and then you can take action. These days, government, if you rely on them, as we heard from that section, the framework session, you may sit back for a very, very long time. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow we are going to continue this program, and if you're interested in that training tomorrow and you haven't registered, please, we encourage you to register before you leave. Also, Nana Chair, the chairperson for the occasion, his book, very remarkable book. He's got an autograph version. If you want a copy, I think it's just about 50 CDs. This one, Paul, we should just make it mandatory. Before you leave, you take. You leave, you take. Everybody should try and get a copy of Nana, our chairperson's book, which is supposed to be at the secretariat outside. And so tomorrow we are meeting here again to continue the day's business at 8 a.m. It starts, and then we should be finishing quite early tomorrow and have our closing session. On this note, I invite Mr. Nyame Befi, Lecturer, Executive MA in Regional Integration and African Development, EMRIAD, as well as CREA, to give us a vote of thanks. Let's put our hands together for him.
Nana Chair, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the co-sponsors, I'm pleased to be here to give a vote of thanks. All of you can bear with me that our chair, Nana Dr. Barima Owusu-Afari, deserves special recognition for accepting our invitation and then being present. We are grateful to him for the smooth and able manner in which he steered the event. We deeply appreciate the opening remarks that were made by the distinguished invited guests. They are thought-provoking words actually set a tone for people to think outside the box, to come out with innovative ideas to address challenges facing private sector operators, especially the SMEs. We are also grateful to the moderators and panelists who gave us valuable knowledge and opinions with outstanding performances. We appreciate their presentations. Let me also take this opportunity to also thank the 2023 Regional Integration Issues Forum sponsors, that is the African Capacity Building Foundation and the Afrexim Bank, for their generous support and guidance. A particular mention also goes to our strategic partners, the GIMPA, who inspire us with unwavering support and encouragement. We also express our deep heartfelt gratitude to the AfCFTA Secretariat, who expressed keen interest in the issues that were slated for today and did not hesitate to collaborate with us. We thank them for sending a delegation, including a panelist, to support us. We are grateful also to Mr. Samuel Ajiman, our moderator, for the excellent performance. We also want to thank our participants who came from various countries, including Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Ghana, Nigeria, Namibia, South Africa, and Togo. We also acknowledge those whose countries we haven't mentioned but participated online. Their contributions make this event up to the mark. We also want to thank those who were on the background to give the appropriate logistical support. You all bear with us that without their role, maybe the event wouldn't have been as successful as we had anticipated. And I'll be falling short of my responsibilities also if we don't appreciate the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Federation of West Africa Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Pan-African Chambers of Commerce and Industry, the Ghana Employment Agency, the Ghana Enterprise Agency, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, STN, GIZ, WEDU project for being instrumental in helping us reach participants. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Chair, I want to conclude by once again stating that we are grateful to you for being present with us today. We cherish every hour that you have spent with us. It has been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nyamebe Fina. Before the closing remarks, we will get to have a quick information regarding tomorrow's activities, and Professor Kenneth Oforibuatin will be leading us through that as he prepares. So tomorrow, 8 a.m., from 8 a.m. going to about 12:30 thereabout, there will be a site visit, and Prof will tell us the plan for that particular site visit. Let's invite Prof and then get that detail from him. Let's put our hands together for him, please.
Okay, thank you very much. And once again, I would like to use this opportunity to thank all of you for coming. Today has been very, very effective, as you can all bear with. You know that this SME training cannot be done without, some kind of side visits. So there's a comprehensive write-up as to what we really wanted to achieve, but I wouldn't want to go into the details of that. What I want to do now is just to inform you that tomorrow morning, 6 buses have been arranged. They are mini buses, not big ones, mini buses, to take all the participants to 6 industries. And the 6 industries, the time, the 6 groups, there will be 6 groups, and the 6 groups are arranged in such a way that each group will have an industrial tour guide that will go with you. The time to leave here will be 8:30. So if you come after 8:30, it means you will be part of it. We will give you the list of we are going to make the groupings this night, so hopefully tomorrow morning when we meet, we'll be able to arrange you in terms of the 6 groups. Now what we're going to do is that if you come back after the tour, we will then let one person, is going to be, I'll use your rules, it's going to be, we will just appoint one person from the group to debrief us as to what you found. In the morning, I'll give you further details as to what kind of things you should look out for when you go for industrial tour. So I'll give you the kind of things you should look for. And then when you come back, I think 4 o'clock in the evening, I will lead that session where we're going to express what we found and what we have learned and what we think it will help for the future. So please do your best to be here as early as 8 o'clock. The rules are this. Some of the industries, not all, are requesting that we should, let me just mention one, Casapreco. Those who be going to Casapreco, the rules are that you should not wear open, so let me just read what they have given us. That no open-toe shoes. Probably the first time I saw that, no open-toe shoes. So it means that your legs must not be exposed. The second thing is that no high heels. So I think this is going to our women, isn't it so? So no high heels. No sleeveless dresses. So they would like us to wear something that, like what I'm wearing, please. No skirts, so short dresses. I think maybe that, I don't know why that is, but you know, anything could, you know, some of the alcohol could pour in your, so bear with them. And that no necklace and earrings when you are entering. So maybe you can go with it, but when we get there, maybe you have to. And then they say sneakers are fine. No phones within. So when we get there, we have to put our phones off. Okay, so these are for safety measures. So these are those who go to Casapreco, but there are 5 other industries that will go. Please, it's only 3 hours we are going to spend. And so we will entreat you to come early so we can enjoy the visit. Okay, so I think that's what I will say for now. Yes, you'll be back for lunch. So we leave exactly 8:30, and later by 12 o'clock we should be here. So please, the guards will be ready, the cars will be ready waiting. All we need to do is to put yourself in groups, you sit in the cars, and then we'll be off. In about 3 hours, we should be back here for lunch. If you don't come early, it means we have to eat on the way. So please, thank you very much.
Prof, what about the other 5? Do you have the rules around? Aside Casapreco? They don't have rules. Okay. Because the rules Casapreco provided there. All right, so as he said, by 12 we are done, because lunch is at 12:30 tomorrow to 1:15, and then after that, 1:15 going will be the training session. Again, if you haven't registered, kindly register. Make sure that you partake in this particular tour. You may learn a thing or two. Casapreco and Gandor Cosmetics were the first 2 companies that Ghana used to pilot the trading under the AfCFTA to South Africa. So it will be interesting to get there and ask them some questions. You will learn a thing or two from that side. On that note, so there's no point going through the program. I'm sure that you have a copy there. You can look at it and see how tomorrow will play out and ensure that you partake in almost all of them. Don't leave anything out. Joram tried coming here. Joram exports cowhide from Kenya. He brings what we in Ghana we call wile from Kenya to Ghana. And the Nigerians call it pomo. Pomo, is it? Pomo. The one, yeah, the back of the cow like that, skin. Kenyans don't eat it, but they eat a lot of meat. So the hide is what Joram brings to Ghana. Now, Trade Law Center organized a program in Kenya, Nairobi, last 2-3 months. And Joram was just passing by on the street somewhere, and somebody told him that Tralak people are having a program in one of the hotels there. And he walked in and said he has seen a lot of cowhide in his area in Kenya, and he wants to be bringing some to Ghana. In fact, he has started. He was bringing in small quantities. And then he talked to the people there. He realized that I was a Ghanaian. He spoke to me. We introduced him to the national office. I'm happy to tell you that he brought the last consignment of cowhide he brought to Ghana was 21 containers. And now he has a certificate of origin under AfCFTA. You don't take any opportunity for granted. I was surprised and my phone just went off. Certificate of origin for exporting cowhide from Kenya to Ghana. The after office, Joram. This is how small things begin. And if you take it for granted, just from places like this, you miss out. On this note, shall we invite Professor Bertha Osei Shidie, Professor, School of Public Service and Governance, Ghana Institute of Management and Professional Administration, that's GIMPA, and lecturer, Executive MA in Regional Integration and African Development, that's EMRIAD, and CREA. Let's put our hands together for Prof for the closing remarks.
Well, since the first time I'm talking to you, let me start by welcoming you. And more important, say a big thank you. I've learned a lot today. So let's give ourselves a big hand for whatever we did. We have shared ideas, and now all we have to do is put those ideas into practice. Let me start with the title of the conference, Breaking Business Barriers. And that's why I like the last session we had about that. But the question is, what is the significance of this? Why do we have to consider barriers at this moment? It's simply because now the Secretariat wants to implement the agreement which all the countries in Africa agreed upon. And the fact that they have to implement it now shows that we are very late. We have to go running. There's no time for walking. We have to run. We are 60 years behind schedule, so we have to run. And more important, implementation is a process. It's not a one-day affair. We might fall along the way. We have to get up, dust ourselves, and continue working. I've never seen a group in the world which is more resilient than the Africans. They are very hopeful. Even when things are dire, they see a light at the end of the tunnel. So in spite of all the challenges, we are forging forward. But what impressed me the most is that we want to find those problems. That's the best way forward. You cannot solve a problem unless you identify it and you acknowledge that I've got a problem, then you do something about it. And that's exactly why this conference is very, very important. But what impressed me the most is the focus on small and medium enterprises, primarily the two groups which are supposed to benefit from it, the women and the youth, which means that the Secretariat is trying to fill a gap in Africa's development efforts. We all know women have never been a priority. The youth have never been a priority in development. Yet women make up more than 50% of the population in Africa. And currently, 2/3 of the population are the youth. They are unemployed. Therefore, intra-African trade provides a space for them to make a living so that we develop as a nation, so that we achieve human security, but more important, for these marginalized groups, the women and the youth, to have a space and a chance to partake in our development efforts. Remember the World Bank says, educate a woman, and you educate what? Exactly. So if you mobilize the women they will definitely drive trade in Africa and make it the engine of development. And indeed, if you look very closely, we have highlighted the opportunities. We have also highlighted the barriers. And the most important opportunity is that now the African market is out there for the women and the youth to take advantage of. But more important, the regional market, the continental market, serves as a training ground for the entrepreneurs so that they build their competitiveness before they go out there into the global market. So take it as a training ground. And there are so many opportunities which I've mentioned, and I will not go through all that. But of course, the biggest one is the market is ours. Let's seize the opportunity and benefit from it before the outsiders come and overtake us. But what is very prominent is that we have mentioned a number of challenges, so many. Non-tariff barriers, those are very prominent. And the most, with examples drawn from experiences, is the political instability in certain regions of Africa. And that one has to be taken very seriously as well. The businesses might be doing well, but if one thing happens, whether it's a coup, whether it's a civil war, everything falls apart. And that's why it's imperative. I know we say government should be involved. Governments should be involved. After all, they are the ones in charge of governance. They are the ones which create the environment within which the entrepreneurs operate. So we cannot, I know they are an obstacle, but they are the ones who are the owners of these territories. So we cannot leave them out. We have one way or the other to negotiate and see how well they can be our partners and our helpers so that we forge together in unison and with collective effort. In addition, I think what is most lacking is the information. Most of us don't know the details about the Secretariat. We know there's the African Continental Free Trade Area, but what exactly does it offer in terms of opportunities for the small and medium enterprises? That has been missing. At least today we heard more from it. I learned new things about it. And we should commend them. They have just started implementing it. And given the fact that they have done a lot of things, it shows that they are committed, they are driven to succeed. As they say, if the EU did it, if ASEAN did it, if APEC did it, why can't the African Continental Free Trade Area do it? What we are determined this time is that we will succeed. You know, a lot of literature says that Africa has got so many regional arrangements, but most of them are not successful. But from today, I've seen a lot of optimism that the African Continental Free Trade Area shall succeed. So at last, Africa will basically be a good player in the world. And if you look at the challenges, as I said, if you identify the barriers, then you are bound to find a solution. And we have agreed the solutions will come from us, not from anyone else, especially those who have had the experience. And I'm sure a lot of us have learned from those who have undergone one experience or the other. That's the best teacher. So networking, partnering, collaboration, is the way forward. But most importantly, we have to work together. The Secretariat, the researchers, all those with expertise, all those in the small and medium enterprise activities, we have to work together in tandem, share ideas, find solutions, and push our continental regionalism forward. And hopefully, as they say, definitely the good Lord will be with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Nana Chair, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we bring today's event to a close, but we take Prof's last statement, network and partner, as the parting words. So we would encourage you to network at a coffee break that is just outside there waiting for you. All of us who were chatting and I was pushing you, even at lunch, I would say, no, let's get back to the room. Please, now you are free. We can network till midnight, please. Thank you very much for coming, and we appreciate your time.